Dire team ban. TNC Predators turn to ban.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, well.
Ten seconds remaining.
Thank you.
5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban. TNC Predators.
Not yet, but I've got
turn
one
to
on
ban.
hand. You can see it behind me. It's right there when I need it. I can't open it right now because my bed is not a very solid surface, but I've got even more there as well. Like, all set for it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. TNC Predators turn to ban.
In terms of gameplay, it just hasn't been kind of molding together. What's happening?
I think they've got to adjust their playstyle. The execution just kind of fell flat. Had March on the bounty hunter who could not really find the track kills for his team. They didn't play around those track kills as well. They never finished something like a Spirit Vessel to deal with the Oracle early on. They did have a way of dealing with him with Gabby, but that was so far into the game that it was a bit too late at that point. I think if TNC is going to draft something like the Bounty Hunter again, something with 2 greedy cores, they have to be able to buy that space. The tricky thing is that Adroit is the kind of team that won't give you that space. Your playstyle is just online all the time, running down at you. You have to be ready for that. I don't think TNC can afford 2 greedy cores like the Sniper Rookie. They're gonna have to go with something a bit more selfless. Even KP's Underlord, like, it doesn't take too much farm, sure, but it needs other cores to really get stuff done for it. It provides great control, great DOT, but needs something built on top of that. And they just didn't have that in the last draft for TNC. I would like to see that corrected. One thing as well, when you're playing against Adroit, you notice these banouts. They have to ban out the Tusk. They have to ban out that clock because of the options they have with Boomy and Bach. These guys just play these kinds of playmaking heroes in the Pos 3, Pos 4 really well. And you have to expend those bans on those heroes. So a lot of higher priority heroes do slide through that Adroit can pick up. Like this time around, Magnus PA not banned out. That's something Adroit can fall back to if they wanted to.
Well, for now, John, Adroit, they do go into the first pick, Chen. Chen was available. They did have to ban out those clocks, those tusks, those earth shakers. And so the Chen goes through for Adroit, and we know they love running this hero. TNC definitely should have seen this coming. Like, this should not be a surprise to them. Adroit always takes it if it's available. They should have a game plan for this, and for now, they're going to pick up the Centaur, and they are going to go back into the Tim's Grimstroke. You know, I'll be frank, John. I can see why you go the Grimstroke route. Obviously, it has amazing wave clear with the Stroke of Fate. Thing is, though, when we're talking about Tims, I feel like if you're gonna have this tough of a time up against a team like Adroit, you've got to give him the big playmaking heroes. Like, because he's the guy that can really carry the team if it's required. And I just don't think he can do that with a Grimstroke.
It's not the flashiest hero. It still gives you a lot in terms of team fight. It still gives you a lot of value as well. I think the Centaur Grimstroke combination is pretty potent. The Stomp, the Inkswell on top of that. Not too much for the Soulbind, I guess. Perhaps a double edge split. That Soulbind is pretty nice, not the strongest combination you would want to build on top of that for TNC. That's something we always look for when the Grimstroke comes out. Really strong partners to make use of that doubled spell cast, but just this combination alone does give you great control. Adroit responds straight up with a Troll Warlord, though. This is a hero that it's just going to run up at you. You're not going to be able to burst it down if you don't get the control off. Have the Chant to help sustain him anyway. It's playing into what Adroit likes. They like running at you early on. They like having these heroes that just stay online, aren't under any threat, even without farm. And the Chen Troll is just what they like from their draft. They're just going to run at you. They hit level 6 in the Chen. Their push is sustained. Their fight is sustained. They've got that hero once more that keeps them alive. You do have to wonder from TNC whether or not, with this kind of draft, with the game plan that Adroit has in mind, they need something that can stop that regen. They go with the IO themselves to give them some... They have sustainability. They have presence globally. They have great ways to start these fights. We don't know the combination with the IO just yet. Although IO Centaur, I guess, is pretty decent. You want something else coming out. I don't want to see the gyrocopter. that's really it. I don't want to see the gyrocopter coming out. It can be decent here, but I'm just tired of it.
Aren't we all, John? Aren't we all? Adroit, they do go for the Madness pickup, something we love to watch. Oh, there it is, TNC. They do pick up the gyrocopter. I mean, what are you going to do? You have an IO, you take the gyro, makes enough sense. I still think, I mean, we both agree, this hero just feels so lackluster every time we see it. On paper, it dishes out so much damage. But when you watch him dishing out that damage, it doesn't feel that effective. Like, whoa, my dog's going ballistic. But what was it the other day? There was, OG was playing a gyrocopter. Samel literally had to get 3 Divine Rapiers for the hero to be effective. I mean, come on now. I think this hero isn't strong enough to be viable, but I guess with the IO, it may be pretty good. Maybe.
It has a lot more leeway with the IO. Like, you can get a lot more done. You have a lot more allowances to really start the... But Adroit, you've given them the Magnus. They have the Troll. That was going to come out every single time. I believe that's either... I think that's actually the Boomy hero. You're gonna have Boomy on the Magnus, just supporting his Troll, getting the RPs off. It should be a Bach Batrider once more. You've got these playmaking heroes set up for Adroit. You've got the sustain from the Chen. You've got the laning presence from the Chen, from the Batrider. And TNC, they have a Gyrocopter, which has the IO. Yeah, great. You have great sustain, at least in that sense. You can kind of hold up lane out. You don't really have a great combination with a Grimstroke there. Again, we were kind of stretching it with a Centaur, but there's no one here that really will benefit from the Soulbind. That's a bit of an issue, because the control you get is nice, but the best cases with Grimstroke have been, in my viewings, been with a Doom or a Lina. Doom or instantly bursting 2 heroes down. You're not getting that with this lineup from TNC. They still have room for something bursty at the end. It is looking a bit iffy. They need to buy space for their Gyrocopter. And Adroit, we saw it last game, they do not give space away.
I guess I could somewhat defend the Gyro. But if I had to, I guess there were a lot of gold changes on the map, right? A lot of gold has been removed from the Dota 2 economy. Up against the Chen, who does provide you a lot more gold, assuming you can take down the creeps. I suppose in a team fight, if the Gyro can get a flat cannon off, essentially taking down those Chen creeps will give you, 200-300 gold. You do have that. I don't know. I'm not even going to bother trying to defend the Gyro. It's just forget about it. Forget it. TNC, we'll see how they finish this draft off, because they do ban out the Void Spirit as their final ban, and I have to agree with that. If there's one hero that can really jump in on an IO and just destroy the hero, it is probably the Void Spirit. Adroit will get rid of the Queen of Pain, and they take the Storm, which is another hero that can do the exact same thing.
Exactly. Like, they've still got a great way of jumping in there, of bursting down that IO straight up. You don't have the control here from TNC. Like, right? You don't have any way of keeping the Storm in place. You could throw the Soulbind, hope the Storm's latching onto someone else. I guess that's it. But nothing instantaneous there to keep that Storm Spirit down. So you can expect it to really just have a free time. Mac is just going to be able to zip around wherever he wanted to. I believe the Ember Spirit would have been a bit of a stronger combination. You do have the Magnus around for the free empower, right? You're going to get so much value from your Sleight of Fist, but Storm Spirit's equally as good and much more slippery. So I like that pick coming out here from Adroit. TNC has to bring out something here to really carry them through in that early game. They need to shut down this aggression that Adroit is looking to pump out. I think Alina would be a really good fit here. Want to run the core Alina down mid and build off of the Grimstroke. Great right click if you want. Now, not the fastest, but it can be decent. They go with a Faceless Void. Okay.
Is that a mid Void? No, it is going to be the mid gyro. Okay, that makes more sense. I guess the gyrocopter up against Storm isn't too bad of a matchup for the gyrocopter. Assuming, of course, you can break the distance on the Storm, John. Before that level 6 mark, obviously, Rocket Barrage is very, very nice. And now you have some very nice team fighting catch for Mac on that Storm Spirit. You were correct, by the way, in saying it is going to be a position for Magnus. It is Boomy on top of that. Overall, we are in game 2. We talked about it in the first game, but there's going to be no tiebreakers after these group stage games, but rather it is very important for your seeding that you do win every game you can get, and for TNC and Adroit, whoever wins this series is essentially going to avoid having to play Fnatic in the first round of the winner bracket playoffs. So I'm going to ask you, who's got the better draft?
On paper, I should be TNC slightly more because we've seen Gabby's Void, right? TNC plays around that Chronosphere perfectly every single time. I just have a feeling that the aggression from Adroit might be a bit too much. If TNC can always force out the Chrono and always find those kills, they have great synergy with a Gyrocopter in that case. He stands outside, he deals the damage as well. Way of counterplaying that as Adroit, like there's just no counterplay. One of those spells where you get caught, that's it. Unless you have like a Venge, you're probably going to lose the heroes inside, especially if that Chen's not in play. So TNC has a way of making that happen, but that will take level 6 on your Void that has a timer that you're always going to have to play around. Adroit, sure, they have a bit of timer with the Magnus RP. That's really not the major factor. Like, it's going to take a while for Boomy to find a farm for the Blink anyway. He's not going to get the biggest farm prioritization, even though they will give him a little bit more than you'd expect. It's just a farming capability you can get with having that Empower around, and the impact Bok can have. Just have so much great presence.
I apologize. The game now. Enough of this draft screen. Of course, we do have betting odds. Game 2's looking between these. I imagine Adroit are probably like the favorites now going into the secondary matchup, but we will see. And TNC is still the favorites? Is that out of date? I'm gonna check. I'm gonna refresh it just in case. I mean, they.
Batrider ng Batrider, puta.
Would you want to explain what it means, John? I don't speak the language.
I'm gonna scroll up a bit. Nan-trash talk pa si Bok, yabang. So Armel's accusing Bok of being a bit braggy. And Boomy's like, Mel, sapakin mo yung carry mo. Mel, slap your carry. Bok's like, it's like, oh no. Mayabang yan. Like, talking too much. Trash talk rubbish. It's like, keeps talking trash. They're just having a bit of fun. And March interjects Bitoy Gak. He's learning! He's learning, guys. Unfortunately. Oh god. Because just trash talk.
Translation.
Internet cafe culture shrank.
Thank you for that, John. Of course, we do have a bit of a scuttle. Boomy going to be able to steal a bounty rune. Oh, is that 4 bounty runes? Yeah, Adroit takes 4 bounty runes off the side of TNC. And that is not the greatest start for TNC, but that's certainly going to help the cause of Adroit.
Definitely will. Like, that's just going to give them a lot of an easy time down mid, especially. I do... that Armel can kind of bully out the Storm here. Does have pretty good level 1 spells. He has good damage. But for that extra gold, it shouldn't take too long for our Storm to get...
I have to keep a very close eye on Armel this game. See how well he can perform up against Mac in this Storm Spirit. It should be a Gyrocopter favored lane up until Mac gets those higher levels up. It should be just perfectly fine, but who knows? Like Mac, he's already feeling confident enough to just dive that T1 a little bit. Trying to get the drive off. It's very nice to know on that range creep. Does he find another? He does not. I guess it's another thing as well, Armel. He'll have to be very careful about where those rockets go when he commits rocket barrage, because he did just give a deny away to Mac on a range crit.
Something you have to watch out. But you're fairly even lane until you hit level 3 both sides. That's when it starts to get exciting for either the Storm or Gyro. Kind of dip away. I think the bot lane is where there is going to be a lot of action. So much aggression you can expect from the Bat Rider and the Chen. Have ways of really amping up the damage you can pump out, and there's only so many time walks Gabby can let off.
Looking down in that bot lane, CML going to be down up against March, and you're going to have Gabby and Bot going at it on the Bat Rider and on the Void.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
And CML will find Gabby's courier on the way out to the Void, and that's not going to be good news for Gabby, as of course Bok is going to be providing a lot of harassment, especially with that sticky napalm. And well, at least Gabby does have the wand up, so he'll be able to at least get something back out of it.
Shouldn't be as hard of a time for Gabby. Like, you're not seeing Bok really commit just yet. That is because Gabby's holding on to the time walk, and CML hasn't been focusing on trying to force Gabby to expand. Not gonna have a window just yet in the bot lane. Find any sort of commitment.
KP will unload to Natsumi, but he'll be alright, he'll survive. Only problem is KP really doesn't have any reason. I think he does have something coming out on the courier. He does use the stick charge, so still no regen. He'll get brown boots. Tims will come back and take care of the regen for him.
That's one of the nice things of having that IO in the lane. You don't really need too much regen. The IO just needs to go up, and you can get to a reasonable amount. Now, while all that was happening, Boomy was trying to get his own farm by pulling the wave. He's been stacking for himself as well. If this move isn't punished by TNC, Boomy's gonna hit pretty good timing on his own farm.
Boomy really not allowing them to try and contest those jungle creeps. Being very frustrating up at this top lane on that support Magnus. We'll rotate mid now, and Armel got to run the other way as Boomy does have the level 1 skewer. Armel is turning around. Skewer back into the T1 tower. There's going to be no follow-up. It was a bit of a bait play, but Armel does not continue moving forward with the Ink Swirl, and Boomy will deny them the illusion rune by taking it himself.
A lot of commitment from TNC to keep Armel alive. They do understand the prioritization of this jar. He needs that early farm. He needs that early levels. One movement like that from Adroit and suddenly you have 2 supports leaving their side lanes. That could cause issues. That does free it up for Adroit, and we have seen them do this before. The moment you give them leeway in these side lanes, they can find a lot more to play with.
No, he found the first blood. It looks like Matt was trying to go in for a kill attempt there, but ends up dying first, and no, will happily just kill himself off and get a reset on the gyrocopter. But that is going to be a very, very important kill for that gyro. Definitely gives him a bit of a lead after that laning phase.
Bit of a even exchange for sides. Not going to be too upset. Going to be a bit better for Armel. Because find that kill while he's alive. Soak a little bit. But Mac does get some additional creep.
Well, looking back down at the bot lane, Gabby's been farming okay on the Void, but Bok has been a little bit frustrating on this Bat Rider. There's really not much you can do if you're Gabby, and we talked about this before, where there's only so many times he can time walk the damage off that Bok is dishing out. Time dilation does help him quite a bit, however, and Gabby just be forced to back off again. He has to play this very safe. Like, when you look at Natsumi's farm, Natsumi's just really getting so much further ahead. Currently about 18 last hits ahead of the Void.
It's a good time for the troll. That's all happening while Boomy is playing the jungle. So he's playing this super greedy Magnus support that just isn't being hunted down.
The tower is under attack. fortified. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
TNC gonna try and force in that mid tower very, very early. This is one of the things you can try and do up against a Chen draft, right? Where you try and get that map control before they start trying to go for it. Because once they try, you can't really stop it though. Bot lane Gabby almost falls very low on that Batrider. What I was trying to say, John, is if you can force down these important towers early on, if you are on TNC, it almost denies Adroit that option to try and do it themselves. In fact, Matt zips in, homing missile, going to be dodged, but the T1 does still go down. And Matt essentially finds himself without a lane.
He has really played much more aggressive down mid. They're playing around Armel much better. This is sacrificing their side lanes, and you actually look at the net worth difference. Adroit, even though it's a 1-to-1 in terms of kills, Adroit is 3k ahead in net worth. They've found a lot more farm on the map and a lot more efficiently because they're giving space to these greedier supports to find that jungle farm. Fumi is going to be set to have a decent time to his blink. You have Bok who is having basically 3 time down bot, although
they do commit cooldown or commit chrono for this Batrider kill, and Bot barely goes down. He didn't have any stick charges to commit. That was a lot committed for that first Batrider kill, but I suppose if you have the chrono, if you have the cooldown, just commit it. Just get a kill out of it.
That's definitely how TNC has to play this. They've got to play it. You need to shut down that troll. You can't give space to Adroit to try to hit their timings. You have to start shutting down this map. There's way too much jungle farm being taken by Adroit right now. This is how they're going to recover. Mac needs a lot of this to get started. You do have a lot more leeway for Natsumi, as he hasn't been tested a problem. Or no.
They do. Still, he does have the IO, but now the lasso back. Tilly's has no choice but to follow Armel and try to keep him alive, and it will be enough. Armel actually still falling. Still getting burnt down by the flame break, I believe it was, of Bot, but it does not end up being enough. A very, very close call, however.
It's a lot of committal from TNC to keep Armel alive. Basically, never seeing Armel without his 2 supports. He's always going to have Tims around, and even March kind of has to stay in that general area where the Gyrocopter is. So once more, you're keeping your Gyrocopter safe. It's coming at the cost of giving farm to everyone else on Adroit's side. To find Bok a couple of times, he's still going to get that pretty decent timing on the Boots of Travels and the Blink. And once that's up, of course, he's just going to be a menace around him.
We see March trying to be very disruptive on that Grimstrike. Trying to really take some farm away from Natsumi. He was just farming up stacks. March will try to take an outpost for himself prior to that 10-minute mark. He will, but should be taken back in time. I say that, but TNC look to try and set up a team fight up at that top lane now, as they are going to try and force in that tier 1 tower. Really, the only one there just freely farming up on the Magnus, but KP going to commit the Stampede. And that'll be the level 4 Magnus going down, and that should allow TNC to pick up this tier 1 tower.
Gonna find really easy objective so far. Adroit is not going to be fighting this one. They're the ones taking the back seat this time around. They're the ones playing a bit more passive. It's up to TNC to really maximize this spike, this advantage they do. Up on Gabby, in about 10 seconds, you would want to see another chrono flying out, try to find a couple of easy kills, and go for more objectives. Perhaps that tier 1 down bot. That's going to be a very easy target to take, or maybe start pressuring a tier 2.
You still kind of question what's happening with Natsumi though, like, he's 4.9k, Matt's right behind him on the Storm. Speaking of Matt, John, he's 1.3k ahead of the Gyrocopter. Now there's going to be a bit of a team fight up top, or rather, Grim's going to try and defend this KP with some very nice hoops onto Bot. RP is available on Boomie. They're going to be careful about that, but he does commit the skewer. And the Adroit just aren't ready to team fight yet. But back to my point, in terms of cores, Adroit is really finding so much more farm.
They definitely are. They're 5k ahead over TNC despite being so far behind. Although the chrono onto Mac, that should be a good kill.
If it is a kill, Mac will zip away. Yeah, he's gone. Just TPs.
Man.
What are you going to do about
it? They had the relocate on Armel. They did land inside a chrono, so they preemptively cast a homing missile to try to keep him in place, and that just cost him. That would have been a nice kill. We talked about the timing of the chrono. At the very least, Gabby's trying. Doesn't pay off, and that's more time for Adroit to farm up. 5k lead a minute earlier. They're still getting really good farm distribution. Umi is just about 500, 700 gold away from that blink interval.
Lane, RP does come out from Boomy. They found Tims and Armil. A sitting duck without his IO. And that's kind of what you're worried about. Like, the Gyrocopter just does nothing once the IO is dead. Tims is kind of just playing a hero that can't do anything on his own. He's very reliant on being with that Gyrocopter. And, well, with all this farm going Adroit's way and with no signs of slowing down, like TNC, you kind of wonder, what do you do? Like, is Gabby really going to find enough farm to keep up?
Gonna need a lot, and they really need to play around at chrono. This is a really strange situation. Normally when you're 2 towers behind, you have a bit of a network lead. Just TNC have neglected to farm so much that it's costing them. They'll find Bob.
Yeah, Bob. Nice kill. So do you get the bat rider?
It's under attack.
It kind of feels like a distraction here from Bok, though, doesn't it? Like, you've kept this bat rider down fair enough, and it's going to take him another while to get that blink up. But now you look at Boomy, he has a blink up.
That's it. That's what Adroit's waiting for. They've got ways to set their plays up. They've got ways to take these team fights. We already saw the effect of his RP without it. Like, he just catches 2 heroes. That's enough. That's all you need to catch the IO Gyrocopter. That's always going to be enough fights for you.
Top lane Bok, keeping an eye out on Tims and Armel. He does have the lasso, would love to just drag Tims away. Tims, flame break does connect as he tries to tether. Bok will not chase any further. And looks like TNC have now grouped up as 3 and started smoking. You do have the chrono that just came off cooldown for Gabby and he wants to commit it immediately. However, it is going to be into another 4 or 5 man smoke here from Adroit. And are they going for a Roshan play or are they going for a gank? Well, they'll spot out Gabby on the Void. They must know Chrono's available, but they'd love to just go to this team fight anyway. In fact, Gabby makes a good Chrono, and he does. It's on the Storm, but now the grab back onto KB. He's down 3 of them, and they're all going to fall apart as well. Who'll try to run away. Tims will buy back immediately. The fight continues his march. In the back, gets taken out. They do at least find the top order now. Battle Trap just popped too early on, and now the relocate Tims. They're going to try and find something more out of this from Matt. He's kicking out CML. Can you get a TP cancellation? No Bash is coming out. Oh boy, they found the Troll Warlord, but you committed buybacks for that.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
That is, I don't know if I call that well worth it.
No, definitely not. Not with the amount of buybacks are worth it. Adroit can be extremely happy with how that fight went. The Chronosphere is just not enough to kill off Mac with the farm he has, and with the damage on Gabby, they had Armel around towards the end. Not quite enough. The Gyrocopter around to get that damage off onto Mac. Otherwise, that Chrono metal is not going to be enough, and any other way of keeping on Mac. Chronosphere gone, he's going to zip around just fine. This is going to be a constant issue for TNC. With that Chrono expended, this is an opening for Adroit. They don't key, but they can force out some ganks of offs if they so.
Dire are scanning.
Well, they're going to get back up to that top lane, TNC. They continue to try applying pressure. Boomy, he's going to find March at the Grimstroke. Inkstall's going to be there with the silence. He can't skew away. Matt is there to help him get there. In fact, the whole team's there. Boomy has all the time. Matt trying to find a trail to March. They can't get fast enough, and that'll be enough. They run away.
Is under attack.
TNC, I doubt they chase any further. And they do back off.
Lot of caution from TNC while this Chrono is down. I do respect that they still are trying to play aggressive when they can. That was a relief from Boomy. I think he was trying to get the skewer off, trying to wait out or kill off that silence out. Quite enough to by himself, gets punished for it. That is a clean pick-off for TNC. This is the moment where they're kind of playing cautiously. Gabby is forward. Could be targeted here. He does have... Well, now he doesn't, but he's gonna have to be cautious as...
Yeah, relocate is coming in. Voltage is great. Gabby, Chrono in a second. He will have enough very soon at the last one. A second before he has it. And then the Trump come and see him and will take him out in tins. Timing from Adroit. Just perfect. And now poor KP gets slowed up. It's Vortex up. He has to commit the stampede, but Birdie says no. You're going nowhere. Sit down, young man.
All over the map, always finding these big kills. You just can't afford to leave for a moment in enemy jungle when Adroit is just basically there. They had the outpost. No one was TPing and no one was going in to help anyway. They lose a tier 1 for their troubles as well. And Adroit is still holding on to that solid 8k lead. There's nothing fluctuating. Constantly Bloodstone coming out for Mac, which can allow him to just zip around wherever he wants with less of concern for working towards Ag straight up. With the RP, having that Vortex AoE follow-up. Just so much control that could come out here. It is a bit scary. They've got to... TNC has got to find a way to kill off Mac.
They haven't yet. You've got Gabby with the Diffusal Blade, and I guess, you know, if you can drain the mana of Mac and Chrono, even if he doesn't kill him, it's majesty enough. Mac has not been very concerned about that yet, that's for sure. And he's just getting bigger and bigger, especially with that Bloodstone. He just has so much sustain. And, well, Natsumi, what's he got coming on the way? He's got a Yashra. Mid lane Mac gets jumped on, Sans is there, Gabby has Chrono. He may have to commit and does. But the wrong thing is Storm is John, he won't die. Soulline comes up, they heal him up and now Boomy jumps in. No RP available, they actually do find Mac. They found Boomy as well. Now they need to go for more. It's not enough. More pushes through the flame break box. That was not the one you looked for. Maybe it was. The lasso. Gabby goes down. They have chased too far. KP will also lose his life. And maybe 2 kills was enough. Maybe they should have just ran away. His March. He knows. He tries, but he is dead.
Just not even trades here. TNC, they do at least find the kill on Mac, but they lose Gabby anyway. That's well, for TNC, this is going to allow Adroit to just straight up go to the Roche. They know the Chrono's down. They've got a troll with a Morbid Mask, straightforward Roche to play.
Yeah, that's quite fast. I guess they just give the... You'd assume they give the Aegis to Matt. No, not soon to take it. Okay.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
It's fair enough. I think it's still much more value on the Storm, though.
On paper, it does give Natsumi technically 3 lives to play with. He has a lot more leeway to just stand and fight.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I mean, he does have more net worth as well, so I guess it makes enough sense if you look for the efficiency play. However, Arnold does go for a head counter here.
I think they...
Fair enough. You've got to disarm now, but...
Yeah, like, you need to stop Natsumi from getting that damage out. That's gonna give you a very good way to negate his battle trance entirely.
And they're gonna need that soon, as Adroit is pushing in that Team 2 mid tower. No Chrono available on Gabby for another 40 seconds. Arnold. That's disarm. Option for a lasso, skewer back, who they found it's KP. Call down, moving committed, and Adroit will just simply walk out of the big circle. Do you reset? Do you keep going? Natsumi says let's keep going, and Matt goes to the Vortex. Back onto KP. They want that Centaur gone, and now a Soulbind to be expended. And so they're forced out 2 ultimates for the really nothing. Like, TNC don't get anything out of them at all. But Adroit, they don't feel confident, they do want to back off, and... I suppose it's fair enough, but right now there's just no rush for them.
There were opportunities there. Boomy hasn't expended the RP, although the Chronosphere is back up from Gabby. That could be why the hesitation was there. They are keeping track
Radiant are
of that
scanning.
ult usage quite well from Adroit and TNC. They've been playing around the time of that Chrono well from Gabby, but Adroit seems to be every single time they just kind of toss Mac in front. They know Mac is always going to be the biggest target. He's in front. They did manage to clean him up last time around, but that wasn't in the duration of Chrono. That was because they got the Soulbind off. Adroit are still happy to extend that Chrono without any kills happening during Chrono. That's always going to be the trade Adroit is looking for.
So bot lane. We'll take the tier 2 tower, TNC. They're trying to set up for the top tier 2, but they are going to have to come back and defend this. There's a tier 3 about to be taken down by Adroit if they're not too careful. Every ultimate on the map is available apart from the Soulbind. But that'll be 10 seconds away on the Grimstroke anyway. Adroit, they do not choose to pursue. They'd rather back off. With the 13k net worth, you certainly don't want to give TNC away back into the game by losing a huge team fight. So you can understand why Adroit is being rather cautious about this. Gonna bait Armel forward. Boomy looking to find a skewer for himself. They'd love to find Gabby first, but he does have Chrono available. Skewer back from Boomy. He doesn't want to risk getting caught in the Chrono. KP now. Gonna be fine as well. Will they jump on Mac? He actually finds the void! Way out of position! Gabby!
Just trying to farm in that downtime, punished hard for it. They still have the RP on Boomy, mind you. They've got a lot of tools here to force a fight out.
No buyback on the void! This is the chance! Definitely they're going to find a tier 2 tower, like there's no doubt about that, but the question is, do they try and force a tier 3? I think you do. I think you try to force a buyback and you'll find that there isn't one effect bomb. He could roll the map, keep down KP, he wants to move it too late, and now the RP comes in. Boomy found 2 of them and blows them up. And it looks worse and worse for TNC as time goes on. As now Adroit should be able to clean up that first lane of rats. There is some legitimate concern about Gabby and the Chrono. And in fact, with that Heaven's Harbor being popped up, soon as you want it back, well, he still has an Aegis. He knows it's going to expire soon anyway, so he may as well risk his life. And they're going to start to really try and pressure him back. The Aegis should go. In fact, Natsumi's just telling him, take it. Just take it. The disrespect of Natsumi as he runs away. And TNC? I guess they still have Chrono, but this is still a dangerous team fight to take. Looks like Adroit will back off anyway.
They're going to be very happy with that. The Aegis right before expiry. They take the melee racks, they take the first tower, tier 3 tower of the game as well. So Adroit's just pretty much set. 8 to 14, 18k net worth lead. 24.5 minutes. I mean, that's not something you see too often when the enemy team's running the Gyrocopter either. They're supposed to be the ones farming up. They're the ones who are supposed to be bigger, at the very least, on Gyrocopter. Like, more even in terms of... Gyrocopter should definitely be way more farmed up now. Even Gabby is taking the backseat in terms of farm. His Faceless Void only has the Diffusal, Galactic, nothing else.
Armel will have the Aghanim Scepter up soon on the Gyrocopter, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Just TNC, they're just so behind, and the map's getting smaller and smaller for them. They go up as 4 to the top lane. Oh, bot, he does probably head out. They could try to go for this, but it almost looks like it's a bait from bot anyway, and they won't bother wasting their time, as Adroit has started to force in the bot tier 3 as well.
They've got the RP up and running again, although they're out. Looks like they've got the Shadow Blade up and running on their mag, so a lot more options for the. Finally, see our Melt's Aghanim Scepter up, so his damage output is going to be a bit better. He's got a lot more stats to play with. It's going to be enough. You have to consider Ags on map. Role Adroit has to play with. RP being they do have the Chronosphere. Gabby needs to land it on a big target. Like, go for Mac again, burst him down in the Chrono, and then try to clean up. Don't overextend. You can find that kill and you're not in a good spot, take it. Take it and back off, because Adroit will fight back, even if they're behind.
Oh, that's a cool be caught there. It is going to be the Grimstroke and March to not survive. That's your Grimstroke on with no buyback. Smackdown on a straight arm kick on the Yano. He gets the ball and the Yano comes out again. They're they're just gone. Armel will also die. No buyback available on the Gyro. Tim's brought back, but who's he got to tether to? That's it, GG's call. They had enough.
Boy, taking it 2-0 up against TNC. Really clean game number 2. They got Boombags Madness. It wasn't fanned out. There's a reason why in every match of Adroit that we watch, that's a first phase ban. Slid through in game 2. TNC could not deal.
Dire team ban.
All right, ladies.
Dire team ban. Radiant team ban.
John,
Radiant team ban.
I'm feeling great. That was quite the series to start us off with. This is an equally important series for both teams. Going to be looking forward to how both sides will play. Both of them have played pretty well. Geek Fam, of course, being probably even with Boom's Esports, I'd say, based on their history, based on their track records. They have been pretty even. Geek Fam has gotten a few more wins over Boom, but these two teams have faced off against so many times in the past. It's always fun watching them play against each other, mainly because they have a lot to really trade with each other. You already know each other's play styles quite well. At very least, this time around, we do have a bit of a shakeup from the patch, so perhaps we see something different. Besides,
well, before you go on any further, John, I do have to, of course, thank our beautiful sponsors, Monster, for keeping us energized as we bet for the official betting partner of the BTS Pro Series. By the
I believe I actually have Chaos. So it's got some ginseng in there. I have no clue. You know what? Go ahead and take it up here. What is this? Oh, it's just...
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it's Typhoon. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is this beautiful can that I treat as a valuable resource. I only have one can. I cannot drink it because it has to last me. I need it for emergencies. I treasure it just like I treasure my Dakimuak right there. Precious. Oh,
unfortunately,
it's precious. It's still okay.
Unfortunately, I'm a bit of a casual, John. I've got the original Monster Energy, though I might have to step up my game tomorrow, bring a new one out. You know, not be too casual, because I know you don't like you don't like casuals where you're from, John.
Heaven's sakes, no.
Then again, you did have a Pokemon on the Monster Canvas, then so it's not very weedy of you. However. Boom Esports and Geek Fam, John. The draft has begun. Boom, they do go into the partner Beastmaster. Geek Fam, they do go into the Snapfire. Now, Johnny, if I may, the partner did receive some relevant nerfs in that new patch, mostly the Crippify.
Yeah, those are definitely needed. I think, you know, the changes are nice to balance it out. The cast range does make it less annoying. A lot of Pugnas tend to max out Decrep and Netherblast anyway, so you're not going to see a massive impact. Earlier on, perhaps, when you're like level 6, that's going to be tree 2, level 2 on Decrep, and you have your ult, so you're not going to reach as far. That's a pretty big cut into Decrep's range, and of course the duration of Nether is pretty hard to deal with as well, but I think it's still going to be a very effective hero. It's great to have. The weakness of that is kind of mitigated here. Boom did go into it really early with that Beastmaster as well, and both of those heroes don't really deal with a Phantom Lancer. Can kind of find a real one by damaging those big wave, but you're going to be trying to isolate the real Phantom Lancer with single target spells, like the ultimate from the Beastmaster, the Decrep from Pugna. That's a pretty tall order.
5 seconds remaining.
Continue to do this all the time, so I fixed them, don't worry. Now we definitely know who's who. Still, some nice openings from both teams. Boom Esports, they do need to get one more ban out before we get to see where these drafts are going. Shouldn't be too long before we see that. Of course, Geek Fam, they did end up getting rid of the Leshrac. Boom. What are we getting rid of here?
Situation where the spirits aren't being banned out. River Spirit's still in the pool, Storm Spirit's still in the pool. Very viable picks for both sides. I'd say probably easier for Boom because they've got the Pugna on their side, so they can play against those spirits quite okay. Like, you can punch them for spells, and they could pick it up themselves. So I think Boom sets themselves up nicely for perhaps going for the Void or the Storm Spirit. One of those two are still available. Can go for either one.
They banned out the Centaur for now on Boom Esports, so all spirits, apart from the Ember Spirit, still going to be very available for both teams. We'll see what they do opt to get. we do go into the third pick for Boom Esports.
10 seconds.
Gonna have a bit of a think about it.
5 seconds.
They're not quite locked into one yet. We just Pugna and the Beast don't necessarily tell you the complete story of this draft. They've got great single target control. They've got great ways of pushing. The Pugna and Beast really push quite fast. That's something Boom can play around. If they really wanted to go with a core, perhaps a core pick right here, they could go for something like the DP. That's a pretty priority pick. They go with the Elder Titan instead. They're giving themselves a lot more team fight. They're giving themselves more ways of perhaps dealing with that Phantom Lancer on top of everything else. Just kind of tying down that draft. Coming out from Boom, I feel like the Elder Titan is a strong support to have, running it in that role, and it's quite potent in lane, so you've got to be a bit careful here from Clockwork. So they pick up the Clockwork for themselves. There is a lot of value in that here. We've seen the Clockwork Snap combination multiple times. Someone in those cogs, get the more off, and you'll basically kill anyone stuck. None of the heroes from Boom Esports are notably mobile, so that's something that Geek Fam can really start to push into them as they hit their level 6.
It's a really nice hero into that Pugna Elder Titan as well, right? Because both of them want to channel their abilities. The Pugna with the life drain obviously does not enjoy battery assault. Even the Elder Titan, right? He's going to channel that stomp animation before it goes out all the way, and the clock can make it a little bit difficult to do anything. So I do love what I'm seeing here from Geek Fam. I believe that will be a Zephyr clock coming up. You know, it's always a pleasure to watch a player like Zephyr who really does perform really well. But Boom Esports, they go for the Storm. You don't have that counter pick in the Ember Spirit, as they did ban it up in their first phase. So Geek Fam will have to go to something else to try and deal with this Storm Spirit.
The Void Spirit's still in the pool if they wanted to dip into it. Again, it's a bit safer for Boom to go for the Spirit Brothers, mainly because they've got the Pugna on their side. They've got the Beastmaster on their side. They're gonna still go with something slippery. Beast can punish that. They go with a Puck instead. I think that plays into their Snapfire quite stronger. Right, you've got that Dream Coil now that can come out. All the control in the world for Geek Fam. They can definitely burn through what Boom Esports has. The Beastmaster is pretty good for holding Puck down, but Puck is still a fairly slippery hero regardless of that Beast, and you can always itemize, make that Beastmaster work for the stun, build something like the Lincolns very early on in Puck. That's definitely a possibility. Look at.
Not to mention Carl loves playing the hero, right? It's one of his signature heroes in that mid lane. He does really enjoy it. John, we were a little bit scared before the game because one of his other signature heroes was Tinker. We don't want to see that, right? No Tinkers, please.
Definitely not.
Thank goodness, though, Tinker is absolute garbage in this meta and has been for a long time. And as far as I'm concerned, Ice Rod's not bringing it back, which keeps me very happy.
It keeps the game enjoyable for everyone.
It does.
So that's great. You know, there is it's going to be a very back and forth kind of draft here. Geek Fam is going to be looking for that early aggression with a Snap Clock Puck.
5 seconds.
Boom can get that aggression out with their Pugna Beast and Elder Titan, but I think it's much safer for them to go for the tower push. Beastmaster and Pugna, they've got great ways of melting those early objectives. There's really not many ways for Geek Fam to punish that just yet. They don't have the best wave clear. You have the Puck. That's pretty much it. Snapfire can kind of get the job done, but Phantom Lancer is definitely not. So there is a bit of an edge there for Boom. I like that last ban out from Geek. Lycan would have slotted in way too well with what Esports had.
Right.
It would just add on to that push with a Beastmaster Pugna. All the towers are just melted. So Geek Fam taking care of that is great. Let's find out what they tie up their draft with first.
We're going to find out soon that they do have 2 minutes remaining in reserve time for this final pickup. And never mind, they don't want to use it. They do go for the SF. So pause 4 Puck or pause 4 Clock?
I think pause 4 Clock. I think they are going for the Shadow Fiend Clockwork combination just to dominate that mid lane. That's a possibility. We don't always see the Clogs going out at level 1. Sometimes Shadow Fiend isn't depending on those cogs for a lane advantage, but more than likely I think that's what Geek Fam will pull out. They just want to dominate that storm early on. Boom does go into the PA. That's a really unorthodox last pick. We've seen it once, didn't pay off, but in this specific lineup, it's still going to be a challenge. Like, you're picking the PA into Phantom Lancer, you're gonna always have to find the right one when it comes down to that kind of fight. And if you're isolated by something like the Clockwork, you kind of struggle to get out. Like, once you commit your blink, the Clockwork's battery assault will kind of slow you down there.
I agree. I don't really mind it too much though, in this lineup, right? Because if you go for like a Battle Fury, you have a way of clearing the PL illusions. PA doesn't mind going to SF. It's basically once the PA gets to the point where she has a BKB up, is when she really becomes that powerhouse in this game, right? Before that BKB, it seems like she's just a sitting duck the whole time. So, I don't know, it's definitely going to provide some interesting results. I have to ask you, John, overall, looking at these two drafts, who do you think you prefer?
I think I'd actually say I prefer Geek Fams. I think Raven's going to have a good time in this Phantom Lancer. There's not too much to punish him for that pick. The puck should be able to zip in and out pretty fine as well. I mean, you have to worry about Boom Esports' Storm Spirit. Mikado is going to have very easy time jumping in and out, mainly because there's no solid stuns from Geek Fam. They've got the Clockwork with a battery assault in the cogs, and the Snapfire with a cookie, but those aren't reliable enough to keep something like the Storm in place. You're really going to be trying to force him in that Dream Coil for the most part, and that's a pretty big spell to commit. Not always going to be available to keep that. So Mikado should be able to zip in and out, but I think as long as Geek Fam hits their typings, as long as they manage to negate the effect of Dreamo Cell, not give him enough space to farm, Geek Fam's going to have enough going for themselves that might not be an issue, Mikado.
Well, I'm very, very excited about this match between these two. They're playing around. They just get to should be a lot of fun. Of course, we talked about it earlier on. There is still a lot riding on this. Geek Fam definitely looking to try and pull off a victory for themselves. I believe if Boom do win, they will actually take over that winner bracket spot from RR. So there is that as well.
You definitely want to start up there. You want to give yourself some allowance with how the game goes. A bit of a bite back and forth pause, but that's fine. So it is really important for both sides. If Geek Fam do lose out, there's a possibility that in the weighing of the results that look better. I'm not sure how that weighting does go, but you really just want to secure yourself a good spot. Very important for both teams to just win out here.
We are gonna have the go-ahead now. First game of this best of 3, last series of the night. Let's make it a good one. I'm kind of intrigued to see how effective this pun is going to be now, because those nerfs did seem quite significant. Like that range decrease on the Decrepify at early levels, it's going to hurt quite a lot. Especially if you do, you want to get in range to try and get that Decrepify off to try and avoid a last hit on the opposing pos 1. Can be a bit more frustrating.
You do run a bit of a risk. Can run a risk of overextending yourself in that case, but I think it's still all right. It just kind of balances it down. Most Pugnas do just have a value point in the net. Though you lose out in the flexibility of maxing that out early because you're going to be gimped by the Decrept. You're not going to be able to make big saving plays or just canceling out Core who's getting jumped on by that Decrept, so you're not going to have that leeway. I think the build to go for is Nether Blast and Decrept getting priority. Nether Ward definitely take back seat most cases. In which case, it will take a while, but you're going to hit that point again where you have the max range. It's not too rough, just will take some time until that's up and running.
The battle.
Geek Fam gonna have no fight over this bot barrier. They'll just take it. 2-for-2 trade on the bounties. Very even start. Neither side really wishing to get too aggressive. But we are going to see a bit of a trailing, I believe, to start up at this top lane, unless we do see an early rotation. KSQ, he is still staying up top. he only had... No, he will TP. I was going to say, he only has the Astral Spirit, so I'm not really sure what he's going to get done with that. In terms of the first blood up top, he does TP down to the PA now. FBZ and Hyde will stick together, as Raven and Whiteman will also be there on the snap by appeal respectively.
So this should be a pretty solid lane for Boom. Could be able to get the harassment out onto Raven, apply some pressure. Whitemon is going to have to try to zone them out, but they're already taking a lot of damage here.
Yeah, I mean, even with the nerfs to the partner, like his base attack, although the attack damage isn't so high, the range is super annoying.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it feels like he's just taking way too much away from Raven from his raw right clicks, not even a Nether Blast being spammed. That is forcing Raven and Whitemon to play a bit more passively. This could end up being pretty bad because FBZ can leverage onto that once he has his Boris refreshed up as well.
And there they are. Especially once you get to that level 3 mark on the Beastmaster and you have the level 2 balls, that's when it gets really dangerous. Because speaking of dangerous, mid lane, Carl and Makoto both on very low HP as it stands right now. Carl, of course, did go for the Cogs deny, so he did get 12 souls to start before the lane even began. And it does give him that nice presence in the lane. But so far, Makoto has been dealing very well with it, but he does have to commit a salve early on.
Dire's courier has been killed.
I think overall, shouldn't be seeing the Storm die. There are ways for Carl to really kind of force that out. If he lands all his raises, that's great, but that's a bit of a tall order.
Down that bot lane, Zephyr. Taking a lot of damage, and by the way, we didn't really talk about it too much, but that is a position 4 puck, and Kescuda, are you really going to die? Not quite. He will take 3 tier 1 tower hits for that harasser's mid lane. They are going to find Carl. Makoto just solo killing off the SF 2.5 minutes in.
That's a bit surprising. That's not something you tend to see. It did look like Carl was just a bit out of position, perhaps trying to go for the rate on Mikado. He must have seen that low. Overextends just a bit, is punished for that. That's going to give her some much better time. Mikado going to be happy with that exchange. Carl going to have to try to clean up, get some stacks back into his... Not too long left in him.
But he really shouldn't be tying like that. Like, he should have the advantage in this lane, at least for now. But now Makoto is going to be out-leveling him. And, you know, the sooner Makoto hits that level 6 timing, the sooner you know he's making that jump on Carl. And once the level 6 is there on the Storm, he basically is sitting dark on that SF. Like, there's not really much he can do to get away from that. Top lane, however, they are going to find Whiteman as well. And that's going to make it a 2-0 very early on for Boom, as Hyde was able to pick up the Snapfire support.
There's just a lot of damage coming out from Boom in that lane. Snapfire is not a particularly tanky hero, and there's not much you can expect your Phantom Lancer to do there. There's no real kill opportunities as well with this kind of dual lane, so they're just really going to have to take it slow. Try to play a bit more defensively
He went in again, being very aggressive towards Makoto, and Makoto punished. That is not the way to play this lane, I don't believe. And Makoto, he's going to hit a very early level 6. Zephyr will rotate and soak XP on the park. But that's not going to slow down Makoto. He's about a creep wave away, John, from hitting that 6 mark.
Good start for Storm. At the very, you know, for Carl, he does have the jungle to play catch up with, but you really don't want to be dipping in there. Should have stronger laning presence. Carl cannot afford to try to go for this aggressive play. Just focus on his last hits, focus on his farm, clear out the waves, build up for yourself.
Missing middle.
Well, he really is going to have to start going to that jungle very soon. Start those stacks going, Carl. Don't know about this lane anymore. Boom.i is essentially just... Excuse me, Boom Esports is essentially winning every lane right now, by the way, John. Like, top lane FBZ, having a great old time. Raven's not able to keep up in terms of farm. You look at the PA, Dreamersaur's having a free lane on the PA, which is perfectly fine. And as we know, the mid lane is going very well, though FBZ is now getting dived on by Raven. Doppelganger going to be there, but Netherblast to follow by Hyde, and they are not going to be able to finish off this Beastmaster. In fact, Hyde is going to keep going by himself, but he is finally forced back by Raven. Still, Boom look to be very, very aggressive.
It's really just how they run their draft. I think this is really just how the way you go with this kind of lineup. You want to take over early on, you want to be able to shove those towers out. Boom has been setting themselves up quite nicely. They've got a 3k net worth lead at less than 6 minutes in. This is a really big win for Boom very early on.
That's huge. Like, how often is it, John, you see a 3k net worth lead at 5.5 minutes?
Not often.
Never happens. Well, now Cuckoo's going to try and harass Dreamersaur out a bit. You have hit that level 5 mark on the clockwork, so you have a lot of damage. Dreamersaur almost falls. Cuckoo will happily go back to the lane and keep farming up. And we are actually going to see some rotations. Carl, he's hit level 5, level 3 raises him up. He's going to find KSQ. KSQ tries to go for the stomp, but Carl will be able to pick up a very easy kill for himself. And it's straight back into the mid lane for him as he goes after the Kodo, but he does have ball lightning, so the kill potential on the Kodo not there any longer.
But that kill does give Carl a lot more to play with. I think that is going to set him up quite nicely. Still behind, but not as much as you'd expect anymore. Has to start considering that jungle, I believe. Separate is around to stack. There is stack of really and kind of dip in and escalate from that way.
High. And the ward down, looking to be very aggressive here onto Whiteman. He does have to prep the fight, he just needs some vision, and there's the actual spirit to give him that vision. And Whiteman, cookies away, still the spirit follows. High, can you find another blast? You can, and KSQ with the stop does pick up the kill. And on top of all that, they do force out a rotation from Zephyr, and that rotation leads to nothing. As mid lane now, Makoto sees that rotation, looks towards Carl. Carl will manage to walk away.
It's a very precarious spot for Geek. Really trailed behind on every single core by a significant amount now. Take a look at that SF, 2.4k net worth at 8 minutes in. And compare that to Mikado. Mikado's at 3.2. So much more on this Storm very early on. You want to apply a bit more pressure. Cuckoo does have level 6, so perhaps they try to make a play with that hook shot.
It looks like they will.
Coming in.
KSQ should be an easy kill. Zephyr is there just in case they need it. So they'll pick up the pulse 5 Order Titan once again. Nice rotation there from Cuckoo as he'll head up top now to try and help out even more because Whiteman is going down. And you know, this is one of the big problems about the Snapfire. As soon as one of the balls hits from the Beastmaster, she can't run away.
There's just nothing that allows you. A Cookie, it's not a very long range jump. Always going to be easy. In fact, it's going to be even harder to sustain this lane now. FBZ does have level 6, does have a roar. It's an easy process to burn Raven down.
Yeah, just trying to put their trust into Raven on this Phantom Lancer. Hope he can really escalate the farm, it seems. So Carl has to be careful. The rotation coming in from the Order Titan, and well, he gets stunned up. Makoto setting up here with the Static Remnant, and it looks like Carl actually survives now. Cuckoo! He finds a 2-man hook shot. They're getting Makoto with the ranges, and now KSQ does also go down to Cuckoo. And man, oh man, I thought they would at least get Carl before they backed off, but the SF survives.
A really good punishment coming out from Geek. Surprising that they actually backed off. Like, Storm could have zipped forward, but he had a lot of mana. Zip forward outside the range for the cogs, tried to get that last hit in, and zip away. Said they kind of clumped up. It made it very easy to get the right hook shot. Lot of value from that shot as well. Cleaning up those arrows, and Boom.i's forward movement punished hard. So Geek Fam gonna be happy with those pickups. They are still trailing behind. They have kind of equalized Mikado's lead.
Dire structures.
Carl.
again, they make the jump. Vortex rotations coming and trying to help him out. He turns around with the razors and Kestu's falling low already. Carl, he could probably try for that. He won't, however, but Makoto is very low in mana. And Cuckoo, he's looking for a hook. He wants the Titan. He has Rocket Flare to give him that vision, but looks like he will go farm up some neutrals instead. Perhaps assuming that Kestu is already gone, but he is sticking around. But Kestu just gonna walk out of there.
Not gonna find that kill, but in time that was all happening, Bloom does manage to take that top tier 1. Get themselves a little bit more space. They are limiting the areas where Raven can farm. He's gonna have to try to jungle. They have invested the obs wards from trying to secure that area, so they're struggling too much. Nice hook.
Cuckoo gonna find Hyde. Hyde decrepifies, but that is not gonna help up against the battery assault of Cuckoo. Now they look for more. They know FBZ's around. Carl will break his smoke, but they got the Dream Core from Zephyr. With that, Primal Roar will come out to buy some time, but the Shadow Fiend will still be up pretty soon. Still can't really Requiem here. He is going to. I guess just assuming somebody else could have been around the area. And, everyone just walks out.
Wasting a couple of volts there. You're not going to have that Primal Roar for a while, but you're also not going to have Requiem anytime soon from. So, just going to slow the pace of the game down. I think perfectly happy with his pick. Take a look at Dreamocell. He's just got free farm. He's building up to a Battle Fury for TNC with PAs. But this is a very free farm PA.
Dire's bottom tower.
They should have the Battle Fury up at some decent time. Makoto. Should be fine, there's no Dream Coil, but you do have a hookshot from Cuckoo there, if required. Instead they ping out the bot lane with a fine Hyde trying to force in this tier 1 tower. Raven will be the one to defend and get that farm up himself on the PL.
Doesn't have that space. The wards were expired and dewarded anyway. Watch your vision left here. Boom does have the option of sending Hawks, or their own jungle's not that safe. At the very least, he has that tier 1 bot for some backup in case. Probably the safest spot for Raven to find some free farm.
Geek fam, they're gonna smoke up. FBZ, they know exactly where he is. Or they get vision, raises there, Dreamfall as well. He's been silenced, he's definitely dead. Great rotation out from Geek fam. Now boom, they want to fight back. Zephyr gets blown up immediately, and now Dreamfall joining in. They don't really want to fight here up against Cuckoo with a very nice cog, but he pushes him down the cliff. That is not exactly what they wanted, though. Cuckoo now going to be probably all the offers have really worn off, and well, Dreamcell does jump in, but he got caught by that Requiem, and it looks like he will end up dropping as Cuckoo will be the one to pick it up on the clockwork. A very messy team fight. Dreamcell just blinked right into the Requiem. You couldn't have asked for a worse time.
Not quite the engagement Boom was looking for. They didn't even find the kill on that Snapfire. White one got denied by the creeps. Still, you might find Cuckoo.
Okay, well that's a nice kill. Cuckoo will drop on the clock. And they are going to capitalize off this. They'll go after a tier 2 top tower. FBZ, he's got the Necroble, you've got Boars, you've got a Helmet Dominator, and you've got Hyde. You know, no matter how many times the Beastmaster dies, if he could just keep finding objectives like this every time there's a slight opening, you're not going to care what his KDA looks like.
Definitely not. They're still managing to find what they want off the map. I'd say Dreamocell's someone who needs to tone it down a notch. He doesn't need to join these fights. His team can take these fights without him. Doesn't do enough damage with just level 1 coup de grace. Gonna need that Battle Fury up and level 2 on the ult, where you can really start pumping it out, even on the support. Not gonna be. So, just use that space they're giving you. Don't need to join. Don't feel pressured. Boom Esports, give a lot more space. Does take some investments for the PA to come online, but they're only 2 parts away from Battle Fury, so wait it out.
Boundary inside of the spawn. It looks like Boom should be able to get the advantage on those bounties. There are still 2 left on their side of the map. BZ hasn't really gone back to claim them quite yet. He will just go ahead and farm up the die side jungle. It's another one of the real positives about having a Beastmaster in your team, John. You tend to get a lot of neutral items out of it. And when you look at FBZ's net worth, like, he's just sitting at the top of the net worth, and he pretty much has been the whole game.
Yeah, he's just been solidly uncontested in that top lane. Nothing really to shove him out. He's been applying a lot of pressure, working that net worth into items to help his team. He's working towards a pipe next to just mitigate some of that damage coming out from Geek Fam and to perhaps prolong the life of his creeps.
Dakota. That hookshot was flying straight at him as the TP did complete.
Oh, it's on the edge. Maximize that free there.
Just not enough time. You know, if I may, John, this is my this is where I get a bit confused about position 3 clockworks. Like, you look at Cuckoo, 16.5 minutes in, he's level 9. His net worth is just above the position 4 Pugner by about 600 gold. And he has been roaming, he's been trying to make plays for the team, and he's, you know, sitting at 4-1-1. But I question the plus 3 clock. I think, what's the point of the offlane clock when you can just run him as a plus 4 and be at the same spot anyway?
I think the main issue with how it's going for Geek Fam is that they did bleed a lot of ground early on. They couldn't manage to win out in that lane against the PA too much. Like, there just wasn't enough that they could pump out there. Really start leveraging Cuckoo's clock. They do have a Urn on him, but he hasn't been around for any kills just yet. There hasn't been any value in that item. It's down to Geek Fam kind of playing it slow because they are just buying space for... So they're just waiting out. Both sides are kind of waiting out their pause ones. This is favoring Boom Esports a lot more. You have a 6k in Boom.
Goes on to hide. Snapfire kisses were committed in the mid lane. They really want those Beastmaster units, and well, they'll get the Dream Comet. Snapfire, he melts. He got a lot of creeps out of that. In fact, you know, considering that him and the SF did manage to clear out the Beastmaster boards and everything else, really, I don't know if you'd call that a bad trade for him.
I'd say even. Pretty even to trade your life away for that. You are giving me...
Well, Cuckoo stunned up with the Palmer Roar. Battery's not going, but they do get the Sentinel Stomp off as well. Where's the follow-up though? Astral Spirit comes in with the Stomp, does catch 2, and now the Earth's gonna flying through. This is gonna be bad. Cuckoo is down. They'll lose the SF, but Whiteman, where are you running, sir? He will actually be allowed to get away. Boom are only interested in this T1 mid tower.
Just really nice cleaning up there from Boom, just punishing a slight overextension. It wasn't even a very bad overextension, but his positioning is punished hard. His SF is punished for standing alongside him. And just like that, what looked like a bit of a wonky trade for Boom earlier on, they managed to find the bigger kills anyway, kind of negating that loss of the creeps. Couldn't be happy about that, although Raven comes in, reveals his diffuser blade.
Yeah, he gets high, or should get high. He does. Nice little pick up there on the plus 4. But the net worth lead just keeps going up for Boom. Like, they're at 7k now. It hasn't really budged. In fact, make it 8k. It's just been going up and up for this Radiant side. And it's nice and all that Raven's got the diffusal up, but you look over at the PA Dreamer Soul, he's got the full Battle Fury, and looks like he's just one Mithril Hammer away from having the Deso up.
It's gonna be big. That's a huge power spike for the PA. We tend to see that a lot. The Battle Fury just accelerates your farm, but the real damage starts to come in when you have that Desolator. Are flying at least one Mithril Hammer. He's doing a little bit more damage there. Did try to keep that flexibility for himself, as he wants to keep that.
They are fighting. Green Call gonna be there onto FBT, but he is so tanky with that time. Those kisses that Green Call did nothing, and now hookshot was it not after. It's gonna be Kensky, but he got his ultimate out anyway. It's already there. FBZ, he's out of mana. This is the problem. You can't get the roar off, and they will actually find that huge Beastmaster kill. And MOBA perhaps have overextended as FBZ just did not lead. And with that Geek fan, they really shouldn't have got anything, but they do end up getting a +3 Beastmaster.
Yeah, that's a lot of gold going the way of Geek fam. We're going to be very happy with that kill. FBZ punished for some far forward positioning. Again, you look at Boom Esports this time around, Dreamcell is looking pretty good, but this is not the fighting state for the PA, as like the Phantom Lancer with just the defense isn't the fighting state for that. You need the Desolator to be up and running on Dreamcell first, and it's still 2 parts away, not too long, but need some patience here for force out those big fights. This could be an opportunity though, as the kisses were expended earlier. They're gonna have to be conscious about Carl perhaps TPing, but nowhere near right now. He's gonna have to channel that TP to join this next fight.
Even with the Deso, like I think you still need the BKB. It just, I don't know if he's lacking damage. Like he's got the Implore as well, trying on the PA. So if you get lucky enough, you can crit on the crit, and that's a bit of a ridiculous item for a PA. Even with the dagger, she gets the Implore active going, which is nice. 300 damage dagger, never hurts. But I think you just wait for that BKB on Dreamcell as well. Like it
depends on his priorities, because he's got both queued up. It does feel like he's going to be opting for the Desolator first, which can work as long as you manage to get the initiation first. You get the first jump, force the reactions out, have FBZ maybe cop all the spells, can come in, clean up just nice. Yeah, I think the safer bet is a BKB. But it really depends. Dreamcell, I just have a feeling he's going to go for the Desolator.
No, he'll go for the Desolator. I'm not doubting that. I just don't think he should fight when he gets the Desolator. Maybe I mean, they probably will. It looks like they're going to try and force a Roshan. They're going to stop, because the rocket plate does give plenty of vision for Geek Fan. Interestingly enough, Cuckoo on the clockwork went for the urn, but opts to actually go after a blade mail after that, so he's not really interested in the spirit vessel yet. I suppose
smoked under a flare.
Oh, that's a problem. I believe there was an observable there as well. It didn't catch it, but yeah, the flare. Oh, maybe they did it.
Strange. I saw the flare after effects that still had vision. Still, maybe it came after the smoke. Big possibility.
Dakota looking for Zephyr, doesn't quite get it. Nice spaceship coming up from the pump. There's going to be a buyback. They want to try and snipe this Roshan attempt. It's not going to be in time. Rocket Flare comes in, it gives vision, but it only gives vision of Roshan that isn't there anymore. Now they will try and start the fight. FBZ is being taken down. His master is very, very low on the green core. Headlock is living snap on Makoto. Jumping on the SF. They'll get the Beastmaster. Can they find Carl? He'll do up, but Saint Gremlin is going to be able to secure the kill with Raven. Going to go after Hyde, and he will find that kill, but it's not worth him dying. He's trying to fight back, but it looks really bad. Makoto is running out of mana, however, and he can't actually get the hit off Raven. He's been finally slowed down, but can you kill off this PL? Dagger will be dodged. Dreamcell still chasing. Just making sure. No crit. Forward. Does get the crit in the end, but he can't afford to die like this. A nice looking from Whiteman. Makoto's still going to be there to help out. They will not have the damage output. The Cuckoo. Medikin underneath tier 3. Makoto, the zip forward, the Cuckoo, I'll take your life. No worries.
One down, 4 to go.
Geek fan, just a lot of misplays in that team fight.
Definitely. It doesn't work out their way. They bought back a bit too late on Cuckoo. They out and trying to deny that Roche. All falls apart. They lose some pretty big targets. Well, you are starting to see the effects of Dreamcell kick in. Like, the Desolator is up. He actually skips the BKB in terms of his itemization, going for Ags next for the blur. So he does want to be much more active rather than depending on the... I think he trusts in his teammates to cop everything else for him, and FBZ is just dying straight up. So it's not being targeted first. No issue.
Oh, jumps in, gets a 1.2k crit on Wyvern, and Wyvern runs away, but Carl cannot.
You had your warning.
Hyde has a point. I think you would have just rather tanked the Snapfire kills than lose your SF like that.
Right now, Geek fam, they need to wait for Raven to be ready. He's working towards a heart. That's not going to be fast to farm up. They've lost a lot of space on the map. And it does look like Boom is planning to really shorten it out. They're taking that tier 2 down bot. Could start to shape up for that mid tier 2 as well. And once that's gone, your options for farming are going to be severely limited for you. You need farm and Raven, you need a little bit more farm on your SF. When the map shrunk this much, there might not be enough space for all of them.
Well, T2 mid does go down as well as the T2 bot. Boom, completely taking over now. Geek fam, they're going to try and find a position fight all the time and kill, and they should be just fine in doing so. Or maybe they won't. They do get it again, but Makoto wants to punish them for this. Raven tries to get to the CP, but Vortex is going to be there and now Hyde with the line frame, just trying to sap some damage from Raven. Raven will be chased down, Makoto is out of mana once again, but they have the Primal Roar. And that'll be enough. Hyde picks up the kill. And it's only going from bad to worse for Geek fans. Now Dreamer Cell gonna find Zephyr on the path. I don't believe he has a way out though. No, he does. He blinks away. Dreamer Cell, can you get a blink strike off? Not in time. By the way, John, Dreamer Cell found an orb of destruction. And a Paladin Sword. Okay. Alright.
Balance. 2 balanced items back to back here. Opts for the Paladin Sword instead. Yeah. I mean, yeah. This is like the 3rd time we've seen a Paladin Sword drop to a position 1 core.
When they're winning.
Perfectly. While they're winning too. Perfectly balanced favors here from the Frog.
Under attack.
Oh my. Well, now you do need a Spirit Vessel. If you are Cuckoo.
For sure. Not set up to build into... He has the gold to buy the parts. Really inching for that blade mail. I mean, the Clockwork core has tapered off a bit, mainly because of that blade mail not having value. You just do not have people to attack you anymore. It isn't as much of a value item to pick up. That's why it's kind of rare. So he is still gonna try for it. That will hurt the PA if they're not aware. You have that going for you. They smoke up.
They are going to try and get back into their jungle, but that is going to be an ads on Dreamer Cell coming out as well. See if the courier can get there in time before this team fight starts. That could make a lot of difference for Cuckoo. Going to hook him straight away. They want FBZ there. The Psalms as well, but FBZ is a tanky target. Can they finish this time? He's been beaten up. Still being chased down, but the right frame keeping him alive. He does get the Primal Roar from Makoto. He cleans up Carl with that Dreamer Cell as well, finding Raven. And Cuckoo is going to die. And nobody on Boom.i does go down. In fact, Makoto lost his aim, but who cares? It was about to expire. They spent so much time on FBZ, but nobody actually cancelled off the life drain of Hyde. He just kept him alive the whole time. And they're going for tier 4, but GG.
Oh, man. Boom Esports going for the throat and managing to clean it up. Nice and slick movement there. Geek fam getting demolished. I would say they were definitely run down here by Boom Esports. Boom got all the timings they needed. They managed to force those lanes out really favorably from the get-go. And Geek fam looking a little bit shaky here.
Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Dire team ban. Radiant team ban.
Best 3 series between Geek Fam and Boom Esports. It is MLP Dota. John expired. John, Game 1 Boom Esports, man, they look darn strong. I mean, that was just such a dominant victory. Gotta ask you though, where's Geek Fam going wrong?
Well, Geek Fam just couldn't get the farm up on their own course. They were playing into the aggression of Boom very badly. They couldn't match the pace. The entire pace of the game was set by Boom the entire time. I think Geek Fam have to shake up their draft. They've got to change their game plan here. They have to be able to match its movements and collapse onto them even stronger. I do believe they have the coordination to get that done. They just didn't have the right heroes for it. The Ravens PL could not find its farm. Its laning was just so troublesome up against the Beast Pugna. Case of them to push that PL back without finding farm. You've got to think of ways to really go into these matchups a bit stronger. Otherwise, you're just going to lose out in every single lane. Boom Esports did that with a PA, which we don't think is particularly strong, but it came online fast. It didn't even need a BKB. It just melted everyone in backline.
It did. And you know what? I think we're looking at the ban phase right now, John. I think Geek Fam, in all honesty, they need to get rid of that Beastmaster. They need to get rid of it. FBZ had too good of a game. He was top net worth the whole time. There's not many POS 1s right now that deal well with the Beastmaster. And I really think you've got to focus on FBZ if you want to try and really focus on winning this game. However, for now they haven't. There's only one ban left. And honestly, if they don't do it, I think Boom are well within their right to just go ahead and first pick it.
A solid pick. Like, as you mentioned, nothing can deal with it for the moment. Really strong to have. It fits into a push lineup. It fits into a team fighting lineup quite nicely. There's so much value from that kind of pick that should be a priority ban, but I'm not sure if Geek Fam's gonna go for it. They do ban out much more traditional heroes. The out isn't too surprising. That's something we banned out. We aren't seeing the spirits banned out. Once more, that's gonna be an option for.
It's weird seeing those spirits not being removed. It is very strange. We've been seeing it so often that it doesn't make much sense. But we do see the Pugna ban coming out from Boom Esports, so they don't want to see it. They don't want to play it. They've had enough of that hero. And Geek Fam will get rid of the Tusk, which has been a very potent POS 4 in this new meta, at least for the moment. Boom Esports, however. How do you start off the draft? Do you want to go back into the Beast? No. They do pick up the Ember Spirit, which was banned in the first game, and I guess it's fair enough. It's a really nice pick.
It's a super strong pick. There is a reason why we see that hero banned out a lot. I have to say I'm surprised it's coming out so early, though. It's a very early pick for the Ember. A lot of heroes you can really pick up for that. In fact, Geek Fam could go for their own Spirit. They could go for that Ember Spirit up against Storm Spirit we saw a lot of. They could go for the Void Spirit themselves. They could try to sneak Nyx Assassin in to try to punish that AoE damage the Ember out. Have a lot of options here. Even the Conka could be something. It does look that Ember in its place. Instead, Geek Fam will go for the Keeper of the Light. Very popular here, as we have seen. Gives you great team fight potential with that Will-O-Wisp. Did get some adjustments though early on. Gyrocopter's there as well. And Boom, stronger in my opinion. Shaker just gives a lot more value.
What?
Gyrocopter, we've seen once. Still not a fan.
How could they not look stronger, John? Their opponents have gone for a second pick Gyrocopter. It's... I don't know what it is with this hero. I don't know what teams are seeing that we are. Like, we're casting another league right now. Gyrocopter has a 20% win rate. I don't know what its win rate is in the pro scene. I'm not sure if you can get those stats now. I'm sure it's not very good. It just, at the very least, every time we cast it, it loses. Every single time without a doubt. This time, I don't know if they'll be allowed to have the IO to match up with that gyrocopter. It looks like Boom do get rid of it, so they make it a lot harder now for that gyro to get the work done. And I must also add, in this new patch that just came out today, Keeper of the Light did get a significant nerf to Blinding Light. Its cooldown, I believe, was set quite a bit higher, so it's really not as spammable as it used to be in the laning phase.
Yeah, it's certainly not as easy to get a lot of value from that hero anymore, but it's still pretty potent. You just have to really readjust yourself to that one. Still, Geek Fam, they go into the Rubik next. A lot of good spells to steal at the very least. The Shaker Fissure is going to be big. I'm not seeing the direct synergy with that Gyrocopter and the Keeper of Light. It's not the most synergistic sort of combination. I suppose Will-O-Wisp with the Gyrocopter's kit is pretty good in team fights. Beyond that, you're going to be looking for a lot more setup, a lot more of a... a lot more of a boom coming out from Geek. And it's certainly not there yet.
Well, it is a Zephyr Rubik, John. Let's not forget. This man does tend to make magic happen on this hero. So, we're gonna... I love seeing the Zephyr Rubik come out. Anytime I see Geek Fam pick a Rubik, I know we're in for a lot of fun. We've casted him many times playing this hero, and he's literally solo carried the team as a support Rubik. So that does bring me a lot more confidence in the draft now. I do feel a lot better looking at what Geek Fam's doing. Boom Esports, they will respond with a Grimstroke now. Pretty standard stuff, nothing too surprising there. Obviously, very synergistic with the Ember Spirit, John, just keeping them together in that Soulbind. It's very easy to get a double chains going, just because they're right next to each other, and it's been very popular. The wave clear of the Grimstroke is very, very strong.
I think the basic combination as well of having the Grimstroke toss that Inkswell onto the Ember is pretty potent. That's something to watch out for. Of course, Boom has to be careful about giving away something like the Soulbind towards a... That's a fairly easy spell for the Rubik to steal. And we know Zephyr is a top-tier Rubik, so something Boom has to keep in mind. I am keen to see what exactly they're trying to go for as a direct combination. You tend to see something that builds off of that Soulbind when you have that Grimstroke. Beastmaster is still in the pool. You could potentially see the effect of the double roar here.
Of course, there will be a Centaur Warrior now, so Geek Fam, they do have a very, very potent offlane in that Rubik Centaur that we've done very, very well. Boom Esports still yet to reveal their own offlane pick, and like you just mentioned, Beastmaster is there if they want to go down that route. It may not be a safe pick. You did just say, yeah, Primal is pretty easy to steal. Like, it's not hard. It has a very kind of long animation, and there's a bit of a delay afterwards before you can really cast your next ability. So you don't really want to give that away to the side of Geek Fam, but that's assuming you don't just get Zephyr first anyway. You know, in a team fight, like. Only time will tell.
That puts a lot of pressure on the Rubik, because it does really look like Geek Fam is relying on Zephyr to set up here. Beyond just the Will-O-Wisp from the Keeper, a lot of that control is either coming from the Rubik or the Centaur, and the Centaur only really has to stomp, so you're going to be looking for a lot more from this Rubik. Boom does go with the Mars instead. Not the most synergistic with the Grimstroke, but does work out with everything else Boom Esports has. With the Ember Spirit, with that Earthshaker, you know, you're going to be clumping them up in a fairly tight area, and that's where a lot of these heroes shine. So you are seeing all of that come together for Boom Esports. Of course, I have to point out, Boom is going for a very special strat here. They're going for the all-red strat. So it's working out quite well for them. Their banners are red, they're on the Dara side, their heroes are red. It's looking pretty darn...
You're stretching it a little bit by saying Grimstroke's red. Like, he's got a bit of red.
His hat is red. His outfit's red. He's a red hero. He's blue inside, but he's red outside. That's what matters. We're all about outer appearances here.
Okay. Thank you for that, John. We'll see if they continue the trend as Geek Fam. They do have one more ban left before we get into the next ban and then the last picks. Geek Fam, they do get rid of the Riki. very annoying hero. And you know, we have seen quite a bit of Riki up against gyrocopters pretty much every time it's been picked up. And Riki seems to do quite well up against the gyro because it's just such a immobile hero that it's just so easy for Riki to jump in, clear him out, and jump back out.
Team pick.
And boom, of course, they get rid of the quap. Unsurprising.
Radiant.
It's solid ban out. They close out. Oh my god. Okay.
Uh-oh.
A couple of things to say about that.
Okay.
Lycan, very strong hero, great push. Does give Boom Esports the push that they need. They don't really have the best push right now. Red. That's it.
Thank you.
That's all that needs to be said. It's red.
Thank you
All
for
red.
your...
Seconds remaining.
Oh, love it.
Thank you for your deep analysis as always, John. Are they paying you for this, John?
Yes, they are.
Well,
I can say it. I have no NDA. Oh man.
Geek fan.
I mean,
go on, Dylan.
great pick, right? Like the Lycan, it's gonna melt these towers. You are picking it into a gyro who can flak cannon or summons, I suppose. It doesn't feel very pertinent. The Lycan's still gonna be online before the gyrocopter is, for the most part. I don't see it losing out in any lane. This does kind of cancel out what Geek Fam's trying to do with their own team fight here. Gonna have to pick something that will deal with Lycan. Say maybe a puck for mid. Kind of keep still. Help you clear out those waves as well. That's something to look at. Plays with that Keeper of the Light and the gyrocopter quite. Can last pick that.
They're waiting. Geek fan. Looking to finish this draft off strong. Okay, Monkey King it is. They need the early game presence. Can't disagree with the Monkey King pick. They do have the tools. They do have the tools available to deal with this Lycan, right? You've got the Coddle, you've got the gyrocopter, you've got a Rubik who can still stroke a Fate, which is very effective against the Lycan, and you've also got now a Monkey King who can just fight head on. Overall, two very interesting drafts. Looking at those drafts, John, we are in game number 2. Who do you think does have the better looking draft?
Better looking? Boom Esports, because of the red.
Who has the better
Actual
draft?
playability. Boom Esports.
Okay,
It's still, for me, it's still Boom. I think it's going to be easier for them to hit their timings. I think for Geek Fam to have their draft work, they're going to need to get decent farm on their gyrocopter, so they have to get Raven some space. They need to give Carl some good space as well. They don't need too much farm. The issue is they've got to find that midway point where they have 2 mid-game items, start fighting. They can't take their time here. Well, melt their towers. This is just something that Boom Esports does a lot of. They're going to run down your objectives fast. So you have to find a midway point, get initial farm going. Once you're comfy enough, once you have the levels to burst them down, start fighting, start forcing Boom in a rough spot, forcing them to really themselves with their pushing. Start to punish that overextension. Boom can and is prone to overextending. That is something you can't use here.
We'll see how it all does pan. Geek be nice. Into a thought.
Prepare for battle.
And of course, hopefully for us, John, we always want to watch more Dota. We'd rather it not just end quickly, but can't control the outcome. We'll have to see how Geekfam can perform. Of course, odds are up on the screen, John. You probably can't see them yourself, but Boom Esports are the favourites. And it's not because of the colour of their heroes, John. It is simply because they probably won game 1 and are looking to be the favourites in this matchup.
I wouldn't blame it. It's looking pretty darn good so far. Really on to Geek Fam. Geek Fam has to step it up. They've got a lineup that can deal with Boom. It is, I'd say it's harder for them to deal with it, but it's certainly a possibility. They've got to play to their strengths here. They've got to come out stronger in their lanes. To have Raven lagging behind, that's a really big part of it.
30 seconds.
Cannot be far behind on the gyrocopter because you're going to invest a lot of time playing catch up, and that's time Boom ID will just run you down. So you ensure that Raven has a good lane this time compared to game 1, and I think that'll correct a lot of the issues.
Did you ever oh, Zephyr. Oh, that's not good. Well, they know that there's a ward there now, so you've got that, and Zephyr actually pings it up perfectly. So he does take a bit of damage from the tier 1, but it pays off because you know exactly where to buy ward is and you can take it out immediately. A fight over the values, a nice Fisher coming out. KenSkew really sitting up here onto Raven, but FBZ, he's falling quite low. Rocket Barrage comes out, FBZ still falling low, but not low enough high. He'll turn around onto Whiteman now. KenSkew, he's the only man left. Still running forward. Zephyr will turn around and continue harassing. They're just not going to back off. Boom is very angry this game. High, nice stroke of fate connecting onto it. Fisher to block them away from the... I mean, that's just genius. That is really clever. And Zephyr will be the one who has to come in and take some creeps away. Raven, he only misses out on one range creep. It's not the biggest deal, but nice little play there from KenSkew.
Definitely. You mentioned it before, but it's these tiny plays, these tiny little that you get in a game like Dota 2 that really brings you ahead. So, Boom, looking to keep that aggression up, are running a tri-lane here to face up against Geek Fam's own tri-lane, although you do see movement from Zephyr now.
Well, he knows where the ward is, so I think he just wants to go get the D ward off, but he doesn't have a sentry yet. Zephyr?
Sniper.
You're not really going to put a ward down now. I mean, if he puts a ward down, that would be terrible, though. Yeah, he's going to go for the courier snipe, and he's going to bind it. That's huge. Great play from Zephyr. And Makoto, he brought a salve out, so at least he has that. But after that, if Carl can just work his magic, Makoto should have a very rough time.
Definitely, and this should be a pretty decent lane for Carl. Like, this definitely does favor that Monkey King, has the slight range advantage, has the spam ability and capability of just staying in that lane by sheer right clicks.
KenSkew is dead, although nice speed onto Raven, Inkswell from Hyde. He's going to go after Wyman. Does he have the damage? He does. It'll be a 1-for-1 on supports. This bot lane is getting messier and messier.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you stack 6 heroes down there, although, once more, you do see Zephyr switch out. He's going to be up top now, and go back to what I presume will be dual solo. You see KenSkew slowly walking back, so they just want to keep that pressure onto Raven, but that is going to cost him that top lane. Dreamer's Hell is fending off Cuckoo alone.
Somewhat. Like, Cuckoo is still freely fun. Zephyr is going to make his way in. I think the idea is, like, just trying to stem the bleeding that is going to be this Lycan in 10-15 minutes.
Dire's courier has been killed.
But Dreamercell's courier does go down Zephyr, really focusing down those couriers as much as he can. We'll even get the creep pool away. It's going to make Dreamercell's life just a little bit harder. Oh, mid lane. Makoto does end up going down, and Carl with the Balor Strike finishing off the Ember. I guess at least it gives him a bit of a reset, as he did use that salve he brought out earlier on. Carl a huge advantage in that mid lane, however.
He's already significantly ahead in terms of last hits. He's having a great time mid, in very stark contrast to game 1. This should give Geek Fam a nice timing here. It could allow Carl to be much more active earlier on, and that's what they're going to need if they want to stem the push that can come out from Boom.
Carl has just complete control over the lane. Should really stay that way. I can't imagine it gets any worse for him, though. Whiteman, bot lane, he's going to get ganked up high. He went for the auto attack and doesn't connect with the Inkswell. No.
Missed opportunity. But they did have Raven coming in. I think that's what held the Hyde off. She stepped back immediately. Doesn't want to try risking copying all that rocket barrage. Lots of pain there.
He's still getting FBZ a lot of farm on the Mars anyway, right? Like, he's still having a great old time. I don't think it's going to really be too much of a as to whether the Coral's dead or not. Mid lane. GG Mastery going to be propped. Raven ends up finding Hyde on the Grimstroke, so Hyde just completely out of position. Raven homing missile apparently was enough to finish the job off.
again, just managing to really bully that out. I think Hyde was playing far forward. Doesn't have too much regen left on him, so probably just wanted to reset. Does get it. Does cost him a bit, but Geek fam gonna be very happy with this kind of start. 3-1 already, 2k, 1k lead. On top of that, stark contrast to game 1. Find a lot more from their lanes, and Boom is just not managing to maximize that farm as we saw them doing.
It's going to be a real slow kind of game for Boom if they can't help out Makoto in this mid. Like, he's now been completely leveled by Carl, one full level ahead, and just every time he comes forward, he just gets 3 stats placed on him. Carl will keep those on him and make sure Makoto just doesn't approach the mid lane.
It's not a fun time for Makoto. Really just not going to be finding too much farm here. Gonna have to accept that Carl is just going to be ahead. Really nothing they can do unless they toss the support rotation in. Still runs the risk with just how much Carl has in terms of raw power right now. Could run the risk of actually giving. The window to gank the Monkey King has kind of slipped. Now has to just focus on their side lanes. Try to give Dreamosel the initial farm he needs. I mean, he's not really struggling, but he's not shining against Kook. It's at 42-12. Compared to Dream, who sells 23-0. Now that's still better than our Gyrocopter. Gyrocopter is at 18-5, so Raven's not having the best of times as well. But FBZ's not winning as much as Cuckoo is. Now that's going to be a major factor for Geek Fam. That should play into their favor. And that could mean that Cuckoo is going to be much more active on map a bit earlier on than you'd expect.
I mean, you can't forget, like last game around, playing upholstery clock, which, you know, arguably just doesn't scale as well as something like a Centaur, which, in my opinion, just scales really well. Just becomes infinitely tankier and is pretty much always effective. With this much farm on Cuckoo, he should be in a much better position. Dreamosel not so much. Dreamosel's in fact almost only half the CS.
Not
quite a bit insane.
It's a really big difference from game. Laning presence that Geek Fam has is much more effective. That's definitely one of the changes. Just need to maintain this. I think with the fact that Carl has won mid, Esports have a lot more leeway on the side lanes. Do want to keep an eye on Raven though. Like, yeah, your Cuckoo's winning hard. Raven is lagging behind. It means that you could potentially see the Gyrocopter take his time as you enter. He's not going to be around to drop that call down. He's probably just going to be farming up for a while until he gets 1 or 2 items up. That could give Boom Esports a bit of a window. Try to take those objectives we talked about.
Well, he's still going to be paused up. Dreamosel just still having some issues. Oh, thank you, Mr. Admin. 8 minutes of pause time left, apparently. I guess after that, whether Geek Fan are willing to share pause time. So, you wouldn't blame him for not. This is war after all. Are we going to see a Spirit Vessel this game, I wonder? Like, we still haven't seen one all day. We went from seeing...
I think in this case, you probably won't. I don't think there's enough, like, regen-dependent heroes here to really need that. Like, could make an argument for the Mars. I don't think the Spirit Vessel is going to do too much when there's no one really healing up. You just have to be able to jump him from a different area. Beyond that, I don't think it's going to be too... Maybe for, like, the Monk. Could consider naturally building into it fairly quickly, though, unless you're going to be looking at building up fast. Urn, that's an option. I've seen Spirits go from Urn to fall back to if they really just want to deal with Carl, who can be a nuisance, can last a lot longer than you'd expect. But for Geek Fam, I don't see nothing there from Boom. I guess the regen on the Lycan, but that becomes a bit less of a factor as the game goes on, as your damage goes up. Like, it's nothing obnoxious like having an Oracle around with False Promise. So you real pressure here to build into that.
Shout out to my wife from Cuckoo.
Let's shake things up.
Didn't know Cuckoo was married. He loves her. That is fantastic, Cuckoo. Shout out to Cuckoo's wife.
Yeah. Just,
Never be ashamed to admit love. How's your wife going, John?
you saw it in my bed. It's doing fine. It's doing fine. Perfectly fine. Ask me, Mike. If you don't want to really know, don't ask. Okay?
Let's shake
Not a
things
happy
up.
situation. Still filing the papers in court. Oh,
5 minutes
left.
left.
Awesome.
Time ticking. You'd hate to see a game end with these kind of this kind of reasoning, but rules are rules.
They are.
Speaking of rules, shout out to PPD, by the way. In case you were.
Oh, for sure.
And a fantastic person. Have I mentioned, you know, he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, you have. I mean, it's the persona I think that a lot of people misconstrue. But I think he's a solid guy. He means well.
He does. It's gonna be a real shame not seeing him in the scene any longer. Oh, he'll still be around though for sure. Like I imagine he'll probably start casting. You know, be an analyst, jump on the panels and things like that. We'll still get our yearly dose of salt, I'm sure.
Not the same without salt. Gotta have that flavor.
Absolutely. But you know what I found out the other day, by the way, John?
Yeah.
This is a similar thing in the Philippines. Do you guys have chicken salt?
What?
Chicken salt.
Is that salt from... What is that? Describe it to me first. Maybe we call it something more civilized.
It's just chicken flavored salt, like not an actual
What?
chicken. It's like it's a it doesn't taste like exactly like chicken. It's just a flavoring, right, on normal salt, and we in Australia call it chicken salt.
Chicken salt. We don't have chicken salt. We do have something. A lot of fellow Filipinos in chat would support me with, nor magic syrup. We have that. Y'all don't have that. Magic flavor crystals. We don't know what it is. We toss it everywhere. But it's not quite chicken salt. I'm really not sure what chicken salt is. That sounds interesting. I think it might be the same as what I'm talking about. Maybe. Although those are more of granules. Is it really literally just rock salt with flavoring?
I mean, it's not rock salt. It's basically like table salt, but I can't believe... You know, the reason why I bring this up, because I realized the other day, I saw a tweet, and apparently Americans don't have it.
Let's shake things up.
What does that? I just can't imagine. That sounds fantastic then. I can't say we have that. Definitely don't have that. We do have magic syrup. You know, that's what we have. I can't explain it to you. It's just magic flavoring you toss everywhere. It's actually pretty funny. There was this one video where some foreigner was asking, like, guy on the street who roast chicken, right? Oh, you know, there's lemongrass here, there's salt, and what else is in there? The guy's like, oh yeah, salt. Just says nonchalantly magic syrup. It's like admitting that you're using a pre-made curry in a restaurant, you know.
But
we do. It's part of our culture now.
Okay. I guess, you know, it wouldn't be an MLP Dota Dronix Firecast without some mukbang casting, John. Casting. What does that mean?
Oh my god.
Oh, John, you can't just laugh at every joke and not tell me what's going on.
Just calling everyone tits. Hello.
What?
Hello, Monkey.
Is it
I don't know how to translate that.
Alright, well, if it's inappropriate, just don't say it. What does that mean? Is this inappropriate?
It's hello. I see. This is one thing. I'm just not very good in explaining Filipino, but it's man, that's really hard to actually translate. Straight up, it just sounds like "hello, fellow tit." That doesn't sound funny in itself, but a lot funnier in my head. Not that funny. Laugh at everything.
Okay. Thank you for that, John.
Spiteful. Yeah, you tell them, Cuckoo.
Get him, Cuckoo.
I don't know.
Whiteman's on his own team, by the way. It's not like he's trash talking the other team or anything.
Yeah, cause that's one Katita is like white. It's just so random. Like what made it funny was that freaking white one. More of, and well, it makes sense enough, but it also really.
Okay. Well, Cuckoo's now asking the questions.
And
he's taking over the admin. Oh, Cuckoo the nice guy.
Oh.
Wow. Sportsmanship from Cuckoo.
Ow.
Give him the tip.
Oh.
First he tells his wife he loves her in a professional match, and now offering pause time.
Oh.
Nice guy, Cuckoo.
Very nice guy. Southeast Asia. That's how we do it.
Just in time. We do have the reconnection before the time ran out. Apparently the power went out for Dreamer Cell, but now the power is back on, and we will get back to it. So where were we? Dreamer Cell, he was struggling a little bit in lane up against Cuckoo on the Centaur. And I mean, basically the similar thing was happening down at the bot lane. In fact, it's even worse for Raven on the gyrocopter. Still, Carl's having a fantastic time. He's even found himself a double damage room now on the Monkey King, so... I mean, you look at Mikoto on the Ember, he's just gone to jungle, he's had enough.
Really not much for him to do. We're gonna have to give it up. Now it's gonna hide to try to soak some... Very precarious place to soak it. Carl can just kind of run up and...
It's going to be a really slow leveling process for Mikoto though. He's going to TP back mid, but like Carl's level 7 now, in comparison to the level 5 of the Ember. Not going to find the siege creep either. Does try. And ping's coming out onto FBZ from Raven. Well, FBZ hasn't hit that level 6 yet, so they do have somewhat of an opening to try and take down this Mars. Raven's probably just giving his team the heads up, like, hey, I'm struggling against this guy. Let's get a gank going.
Overall, though, I think Fam is still gonna be happy with his state. Look at Carl hunting in that jungle, trying to find Mikoto. But the pressure is on Mikoto. He just can't stand that lane. And, you know, they've got a nice lead. 3K now at 7.5 minutes in. Very good compared to game 1. Is setting themselves up to that kind of playstyle Boom Esports wants to bring out. We're going to have to really find a way to apply that pressure. They are buying space for the Lycan, to be fair. Boom have transitioned Dream Cell into the jungle, going to Helm of the Dominator in about 300. So that's when the Lycan can really start to come online, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be enough with this kind of net worth deficit.
Regeneration.
A lot of stacks going out here from Whiteman on the con, just setting up those Ancients for the gyrocopter later on. Raven not really, not really falling that far behind. Like in terms of net worth, he is still far ahead of the line. In fact, they are going to go for an attempt now onto FBZ.
Dire's top tower.
Raven has got the call down, ready to go. FBZ going to go for the TB. They will have no way to cancel that, and he will get out successfully.
It's on the edge.
Dire's structures
Did TB just a bit later, they might have found him, the rocket might have hit, but does go away, does waste some time. Still gets twacked. It's gonna be too much.
Dire's top tower.
They're not taking control over this game though. I mean, Cuckoo's down top tier 1. There's going to be no trade for Boom. They aren't going to be able to find the bottom tier 1 for quite a bit of time. We do see the rotation back down bot by FBZ, and Hyde is there, but it's not like they're going to siege that tier 1 tower. So, all they can really do is hope for a kill attempt here with that Arena of Blood. They could go for it now, FBZ. He's within range to jump Raven. It can be challenging though when you have Blinding Light available from Whiteman. Unless you have 4 heroes down here. In fact, they do. Green himself, the Spirit knocked him out of the arena. Raven is going to walk away with a nice install on that Golden Creek. Green is going to chase him down, but now Carl's here. And they should be able to turn this. But a huge fish from Kescute. It is not going to be enough. Dreamercell still chasing, but this is not safe. They need to get the hell out of there. Dreamercell runs for his life. A homing missile will chase. Do they keep going? I don't think they'll really make it. Oh, they will. Boundless strike. Lift is going to come out. Dreamercell, he turns around. He tries to fight like a man, but it means nothing. Boom.i just I don't know what they were trying to do there. Like, kill the gyrocopter, but once that arena was messed up, they just should have left.
They missed the arena, they missed the fissure, like they trapped Raven on the wrong side, so their Lycan had to walk around in a full circle, and they just missed out. A lot of small mistakes there from Boom, costing them a lot. Geek Fam gonna get a lot out of that. They should be able to pressure this tier. And Boom, maybe they try to fight this, they are clumped up, but I don't think they have the tools to really take a fight now.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Well, that T1 is not going to be very safe.
Dire's
Geek Fan trying to get down. The Fortify will come out. Carl threatening the Wukong's command. Carl managed to finish off the T1. Boom. 5k net worth behind. And it just looks worse and worse for them as time goes on, as they just... You don't have the greatest catch-up mechanisms for Boom with this kind of draft. Like, it is very, very challenging to try and catch up in terms of farm, especially up against something like a Monkey King, who can really just constantly have vision with that Primal Spring and Tree Dance.
Monkey King's gonna keep a constant watch on you. You can't flash farm as fast as Raven could. He's just fast in Gyrocopter with that Flacken. Been left alone now. He's managed to overtake all the cores on the side of Boom. Is leading. He's the lowest value core on Geek Fam side, but that's still a better spot than any. Boom has to be able to get the lid on one of these heroes. They've fallen behind a huge amount. 5k lead now for Geek Fam at 12 minutes in. Swing in there. And if it continues to bleed out like this, I don't see too many ways for Boom to back up. They're going to have to play their cards perfectly, split push like madmen, and give Dreamocell all the space in the world to get those objectives for them.
Radiant are scanning.
Makoto could be in trouble. Zephyr has a haste through. Doesn't get the lift off, and but he's still there. He got the remnants. That's always nice. Shane's gonna be there on Zephyr. He's got to let it out, but he needs to use it now, and he does not get it off in time. Hyde, he had the silence. So Boom at least finds something. But you look at Makoto, he's being stalked right now. Primal Spring won't really connect anyway. Makoto has a remnant, he feels safe. Won't even need to use it.
While this game does slow down, Geek Fam just farms up. Raven clears out that massive stack that Whitemon has been working on for a while. That's a huge gold injection into our Gyrocopter, building up towards his axe. Once that's up, the farm accelerates. The presence in team fights is much greater. Take a lot more to try to kill him off with the added stats. And you can't say the same about Dreamos. This farm has just been trailing behind at a consistent rate. Every single hero on Boom just cannot find that flash farm they need.
Kodo, down the strike, not coming out, Carl. Assuming he may have remembered it, and now it does come out. Won't be enough, of course. Boom, they've got to make some kind of play with this draft. I just don't know what it is. They don't flash farm as fast as the gyrocopter. Top 3 net worths are the side of Geek fam though, so there's no real way to push. They just feel trapped. Like, what do you do in this situation?
To slowly build up. If they want to take a fight, they need to have their Mars in front, although FBZ instead.
Yeah, he's surrounded. Smoke rotation, Geek fam. Really the only thing that was going well for Boom, and Carl will pick up another kill on the Monkey King. That'll extend the net worth lead to 6k the way of Geek fam.
Dire's structures are fortified.
It's just not slowing down. They just keep doing it.
Just not much really Boom can do. They can't afford to split push. They can't afford to take fights. They need a lot more waiting for them. It looks like a reversal of game 1. Like, it's Boom that's in the situation Geek fam was in. They're not dealing with it too well as well.
Dire's bottom tower.
They really are. Makoto's just farming stacks. Like, he understands he needs to, or he needed to really set the tempo of the game with December pick. And that has not happened. He's trying to catch up the best he can, but look at that net worth. He's at 4.5k. He's 3k behind the offlane Centaur Cuckoo.
Forced into
Still living. Oh, you get an arena, so it's going to be Zephyr going down again. You know, normally you'd say that's not the greatest kill in the world, but anything is good right now. In fact, they're going to try after Cuckoo. This could be huge. Inkwell will connect, but you have the damage. Will it drop it? Now the work on command and a fly out. Still Dakota gets out of there, but FBZ, he is stuck in the middle of all of it. He's going nowhere, and they will find one in the form of Hyde, and FBZ also will go down. Couldn't finish off the mid T1 tower while all that was happening either.
Gives a lot more to Geek fam in this exchange. They're winning out, they're finding the fights, they are rotating quite well, and just taking every single piece that Boom could depend on away from them. Now, the only good thing to come out from that for Boom is that Dreamocel's not being bothered in his jungle. The issue is, are you able to ride off the back of this Lycan? Is that going to be enough with how far behind you are? It's really looking like it's not going to be enough. They need to take some of these fights, they need to find those pickoffs, but it's all over the map. They just jump in, they counter fight, they know they can easily overwhelm whatever Boom Esports has. Boom is just forced to retreat. Finish up that blade mail on Mikado as well. I don't think that's going to do enough. It's a little bit more presence, but really not much more than he already has.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
I agree. They're going to find Carl, but they're going to try. Inkswell's going to be out there. Carl just stands in a mad fight. G-Group is there, but can you burst him down? They may be able to, and they do. Oh, okay, that's not good, Carl. That is not good.
Radiant's bottom.
It's a lot of gold going the way of Mikado, a lot of EXP as well. It's going to be one of the bigger pickoffs they have. That swing just went down to 6k for the way of Geek fam.
Kescu should drop here on the Earthshaker, and does. So they do find the support. Stampede? For what? Oh, now without the Stampede, the person says, I'll go. Marino gonna be in there, Zephyr. He will drop immediately. Now they'd love to find Cuckoo. He's a bit of a tanky target, but he's worth quite a bit of gold right now. It's all down, will fly out. They are going to be able to finish the job. Perhaps they turn on Raven, but it looks not safe. But now Carl has his came in, although Cuckoo getting very, very low on that Centaur. And Carl wants sweet, sweet revenge, but can he find it? He'll go after Hyde. FBZ, a nice steal on the Monkey King. Now the Inkswell is controlling up this monkey. They'll get a Echo comes out. It's pretty huge from Kescu, but is it enough? That Willow was really distracting him during the team up in the photo. He found Wiseman. Now they run forward. They found the gyrocopter. Raven goes down, but Zephyr, and they still want more. They want Carl on the Monkey King. He should be safe. But that is a huge team fight for Boom.
Very big team fight going the way of Boom. They do lose out on their Ember, but they found so many big kills. The patient coming out from Earth Shaker to wait there.
Almost gets spotted out there and taken out by FBZ. Had that spear landed, that would have been very, very bad news. And you know, that net worth lead, John, it started dipping now. They were about 7-8k. It's now down to 4. You've given a lot of gold away to that Lycan, who now has the Necro 1 book up, and it's kind of halfway to the Necro 2 book, and Mikoto especially, right? Like, he was so far behind in levels. Now he's actually out-leveling in terms of XP, the Monkey King.
Really good spot for Boom. Not quite fixing all the issues they have, but if they keep taking these fights these ways, I think you're going to have a lot of success. They just need to play around their Mars and their Ember Spirit, all the damage that does pump out. They have to land that combination. It's FBZ back to get the arena, get the spear out perfectly, and then the follow-up damage comes out. Of course, it would help if Kezcute had a way of closing the gap for the Echo Slam, but his first Echo wasn't bad. He just walked up, caught 3 heroes. That was definitely one of the tools that let them do that as well.
Close call, John. Is that really react to the lift? Stampede again. Where are they going? Top lane is going to be as Kezcute does get caught. Raven hits the call down. Kezcute, Bishop, having this on connects, and yeah, he'll die. I question the stampeding there. Mikoto does get a very nice touch of the hoof spot, and he actually runs into the room. My God, the balls on this man.
Oh yeah. Right on the edge, just trying to get as much as possible. Really scary situation to be in, but out just fine. Pam just fine then. They did land that stomp, gone for the kill. Still, Boom Esports finally get the Necro 2s now. So you have a little bit more coming out. They immediately smoke with that item pickup. We're gonna try to find something.
Fine. Of course, any kill really does mean a tower right now. Anything they can find means that Boom.i will take at least one objective. Who is it they are going to find? They'd love to get through right now in the second. He doesn't have stampede, he does get in-throw, and looks like he is converted, so Wukong will save his life. But now, the Solar holding him into the stroke of fate will take him out. Meanwhile, Makoto going straight after Zephyr, and he does get him with a sleight of fist. It's a 2-0 trade as Carl jumps in after Makoto. He throws a remnant, he'll survive as they go for more Carl. You can't die like this, but the arena drops. FBZ with the follow-up, and Carl is going down. That, oh John, this is really, really upsetting to see for Geek fam. Like, they were so far ahead. I thought it was impossible for Boom to come back. I really did.
Just sets of small slip-ups that Boom managed to feed through. That's giving them the turnarounds. Carl dying 10 times has been a major factor. He's not there to get his damage out. You saw the great effect of that soul bind as well onto Cuckoo right when Carl was coming in, mitigating the escape of Cuckoo and the initiation. Carl just messing up that entire fight by the ramp, giving so much more to Boom than you'd expect, tying them up basically in terms of net worth. Just a 2k advantage for Geek fam. That's still pretty good. But you take a look at how spaced apart the cores are, it's not that big of a gap anymore.
No. The Lycan's caught up, he's at 9k now, and he's got the full book coming up, Necro 3 book on the way. Makoto has found Cuckoo, he has double damage through bottom up and a new Deso. He pops the blade mail, still not popping the DD because he doesn't need to. Cuckoo's dead.
I love this build.
Bounty.
Going straight for that Desolator after finishing up the blade mail just to play off that physical damage, it's paying off. Like, it was a very rough start for Mikado. Not getting anything from lane, he was not finding farm. Wasn't given really free reign on jungle because Dream Spell had to be there. Now he's coming in, now he's doing the damage. He's hard to deal with. They're gonna go for the Roche. It is scanned out, so Fam can get something done, but it does look like it's falling a bit too fast.
I think they've lost all confidence. Like, Cuckoo's not there to tank and beat the front lines with the stampede. Who else is gonna jump in? Like, Carl's just getting destroyed every time he tries.
My blaze
But against all odds, at 23 minutes in, it'll be Boom that takes the first Roshan. And by the way, that their work lead now down to 1 catch. And they just took a Roshan. Oh my. Now they move forward as Whiteman chains up Makoto, catches him, and he is dead.
Damage coming out from Makoto with the double damage rune. He took more than half of the HP of Whitemon. Just melted.
I mean, why go to the triangle after a Roshan attempt from Boom?
Just carelessness. Geek fam kind of slipping up here, giving a couple of kills they shouldn't be. They're gonna lose this tier 2 as well. You have to remember Dreamosel does have the Necro Trees now. He's gonna be able to melt through these objectives. Still has the shapeshift as if they want to play one.
FBZ drops the arena, but he is by himself. Raven had to be keeping up top of it. The follow line just in time, holding him down. Here comes Makoto, gets the chain, has the swell. They want the gyro first on a huge will-o-wisp, and now the English comes down. The gyro goes down. Pakal is trying to fight back. Makoto is low, he does lose the Aegis, but here comes Dreamosel. He will find Whiteman, and the only man left is Carl, who will manage to jump out of there. Still, you would argue, a better team fight for Boom. They got the better goal change. It does end up being a 3-for-3, and I guess you would argue for FBZ that was a bit of an early initiation. But still, you found the pause one, you found the pause one and a couple of supports. You can't be too upset.
No, definitely not. You forced the usage of those fresh BKB from. That was the 10-second BKB charge on Carl, the 10-second BKB charge on Raven. You know, you're slowly whittling down in that. They're not going to have the biggest, longest fights. You do expend the Aegis, but you found those kills, you found the objectives you want. Boom Esports is still pretty happy. Still slowly building back up. Geek does have ways. Lights around. You're going to have to a lot more careful.
Arena is there. Ink swaps off everything. They do running right. Kuki jumps in. They force up a bit of the goal line is there. Now the call down will come out, and that will allow them to walk away. But that's 2 charges of the BKB now, going down in the exact same spot to the exact same initiation.
You know, the biggest thing about this as well, it's like FBZ has a I mean, that's down to 9 seconds too, but he used to use it in response. He's using it to play aggressively, and that's really making the difference. For Boom, they're just the ones dictating the pace of the game from a deficit into a 3K lead. Have to find a way to get back in. I have to mention Carl still saving up for a radiant point on Monkey King. If the timing's gonna be good enough, like he should go for a value item at this point, a lot more presence than just saving up for the Sacred Relic.
Yeah, can't say I agree with it either. This is not exactly Thompson timing, that's for sure. FBZ. They jump in. Fisher going to be there on time. They're down to 2 on Whiteman, and that's the quarter gone. Now with the ink swell on the Mars, they almost found it, but Zephyr does save the David Dreamosel. He will take care of them. Still trying to fight. Will is going to be there. He's in the middle of the arena. They go straight up the tunnel. The Monkey King is there. The BKB started with off with the gyro of Whiteman. He'll die back with the keeper of the light. And this game is getting harder and harder as time goes on. Boom will not go for a tier 3 push as the wave is not going to be around for them, and the buybacks did come out from Carl, but are they actually going to fight? This is not the fight. Cuckoo jumps in on the Grimstroke. They'll start on high, but they're going to lose Zephyr. It's a dieback on the Ruby. High will buyback on the Grimstroke now. They want to keep fighting. Come on, he jumps in and finds 3 of them. He will go down to the end, but they'll lose Raven. Cuckoo's about to fall off. Makoto is just controlling everybody. They can't even through the miles. This could be GG. Is Carl trying to run away, but how many diebacks are we seeing here? He's caught. That's a dieback on the Monkey. I think the game's over.
That's awesome. They should melt through these objectives. They're gonna have shapeshift in 7 seconds.
It's tier 4s. Like, there's no diebacks left.
Still going for the tier. Yeah, there you go. Pops the shapeshift. just gonna go for the safe play. Not the racks, but no.
No, go for the T4, right? Like, there's no buybacks.
Dream Hotel just assembled his assault fierce. It looks like they just want to play it safe. They're gonna go for the mega creeps.
Okay.
And just, they don't want to risk. If they are ahead, they know that they just swing back, but they're...
That GG has been called. Yeah.
Just like that. Alright, boom. It looked iffy, right? Geek had a much better start this time around. Number 2. Small mistakes like Carl getting caught out. Just the positioning into his fights. And Boom just finds a way back in. So, props to Boom. They take the series 2.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's courier has been killed.
Oh, that's nice.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Looks like it's just you and me.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's courier has been killed. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Do it with flair.
Dire's top tower has fallen. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's middle
I'll
tower
take
is
that.
under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. This will do nicely. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified.
Regeneration.
Open to your...
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower has fallen. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Flares here.
Haste.
I saw it so briefly.
Dire's structures are fortified. Radiant's turret has been killed.
I do in her name.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
I'm mechanically...
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Gold for my master.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Rock it on! Visitation.
Your life is mine now.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I'll take that. There it goes. Try again.
Invisibility!
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Boom! There it goes.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Her face, I was blind.
It's up. We weren't finished. No. We can't do it with flair.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is fallen. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire are scanning. Double time!
It is mine.
Gold is a great conductor.
top tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's structures are fortified. Radiant's middle tower is fortified. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Boom! There it goes!
I end your life. That's something. Deep sorcery. Carry me off.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
I'll take that as tribute.
Dire are scanning. Radiant are scanning. Is under attack. Dire's bottom tower has fallen. is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Dire's courier has been killed. Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Boom! There
Dire's
it
bottom
goes.
tower has fallen. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Not for myself.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified.
Is mine.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower has fallen. Radiant's middle barracks are under attack. Radiant's middle barracks has fallen.
Do it with flair. I'll take that.
Was honorably.
Hurry the hands the clock.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
All is confusion.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower has fallen.
This will do nicely.
Rock it on! Do it with flair!
has fallen.
Haste!
Radiant's bottom tower has
Rock it on.
Dire are scanning.